Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Hi, boys.
Hello.
Looks nice
Hello.
out there. Hello.
Yeah. What's up?
We're having some good Uncle Leo moments.
So I was trying to figure out where Gary's staying by these pictures.
By the furniture in the room.
You couldn't get enough there. But it looks I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate.
Gary was for people who thought he was not in witness protection.
Yeah.
Just unfortunately, as the sun was coming up, he pulled the shade down, then he'd bring it back up, he'll pull it down. He was just a very shadowy character.
Yeah, well,
it was the golden hour out there.
It was.
So did he do the whole show?
No, he just did the last 2 hours. So he wasn't up at 4.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
He had a late night calling basketball game, which was actually somewhat of an entertaining game.
The Mavs are kind of plucky there.
Oh, I like that. They're plucky.
That is a good word. I said scrappy last night, but I think I like plucky more.
Scrappy, pesky, gritty, plucky. I like it.
That'll serve him well.
He said he was going back to bed, though. I guess it's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, you got Vegas time is a long time.
Yeah.
You got a long day.
I figured they were going to do their shoot around and then head out to southern Utah, but apparently they're staying in Vegas all day on a Friday.
That's awesome.
That is kind of cool.
I would probably rather stay in Vegas than southern Utah as well, so I think good call.
Have you ever been to southern Utah?
I've never been to southern Utah or any Utah.
I've never been to Utah either. Have you? Well, you have with the Reavers, right?
I have. I've been there twice. I don't know if it was southern or northern Utah.
What part of Utah?
Where were you, Josh?
Where's Provo? That's northern. Okay, I've not been to southern Utah.
Okay, you guys were just in and out on the charter, I'm sure. And then, so you didn't know where you were.
We had a few. We had a day.
Do we know what town southern Utah is located in?
I do not.
I mean, we can look it up.
Do we know what the line is?
We could definitely look it up.
Cedar City, Utah.
All right.
That sounds small.
Cedar City, Utah.
Sounds like
it is indeed in southern Utah.
It sounds like it'd be very pretty, though.
Looks great.
Yeah.
Looks beautiful.
A lot of good views.
I mean, I'll speak to my experience in Provo. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Vegas, really. Not that far.
Yeah, I thought I heard, I think Gary said it was like less than 2 hours.
Yeah. Looks like it.
Nice.
Yep.
So then they can leave tomorrow morning.
Are they busing over there?
Oh, you meant did they bus from Omaha to Vegas?
No, are they busing from Vegas to wherever?
I would assume they are.
Yeah, me too.
And then I bet they bus back and then fly to McCarran is what I would assume. Because what's the nearest city to what was it called? Cedar Valley?
City.
Cedar City.
Cedar City.
I wonder what the closest airport is. Cedar. I would assume it's Vegas.
Probably. That'd be my guess as well. I got real fired up the other day when I heard that somebody hit $1 million jackpot in the airport.
Papa Giorgio?
Nick Papa Giorgio
from Yuma.
He's in the software business.
So I was like, hang on now, this is possible?
Yeah.
Because, you get there, you walk out of the plane in Vegas and you're like, you're immediately bombarded with the noises of a casino, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff. So you kind of want to just hop on right away, but you got to hold off and wait till you get to the strip or whatever. But if that's in the cards, or if you're on the, if you're going back on the return flight and you hop in, and maybe you made a couple bucks, maybe you came out positive on the Skrilla, and you wanna just throw the rest of it into a machine. I don't see the loss there.
See, I've been there a fraction of the times you've been there. 3 times I can count.
I think they have but they have a whole room where you could smoke.
Yes.
And sit in there and just play the slots for however long you need.
I have always put money in the slots at McCarran.
Do you?
When I get there. When I leave, I do not. But yeah, when I get there, nothing has ever come up good for me. But
no, it's never good.
But when you hear
there is
stories,
that one guy.
Yeah, you hear stories like that and you're like, well, then I guess I have to.
I got a chance.
Because it's possible.
Last time I was in the airport, I was watching one of the Royals' first games this year.
Oh, this year?
Yep.
Do you go to Vegas every year?
Yeah.
For how long? Have you been doing this?
I may have taken 1 or 2 years off, but it's probably, coming up, starting I guess we leave next Sunday.
Yeah. That's right. Because you guys are going back out there.
Yeah. Next Sunday, it'll be probably like the 6th or 7th time in 7 or 8 years.
Do you guys fly back that Wednesday?
I'm coming back on Thanksgiving morning.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to be like.
Yeah. What is Thanksgiving like in Vegas?
Hopefully it doesn't turn into a planes, trains, and automobiles situation.
It could be the modern day one.
Because there's really no options for trains or automobiles. It's just planes.
Yeah. If it does turn into that, you need to start documenting that on Twitter. I want to see.
I probably would.
All of the challenges.
I'd be pretty disappointed if I wasn't able to make it back for Thanksgiving, to be completely honest with you. But
because you like Thanksgiving.
I do.
You're like me.
I love family. I love camaraderie. I love taking a nap.
I love food, football, and yes, the best nap you ever get.
And then I got to get back
tryptophan nap
from. I got to get back for Big Red Overreaction on Friday.
That's right. I'll be joining you from Chicago.
That's right.
Yeah.
Are you doing Big Red Overreaction?
Yeah, I'm with you in Chicago. I'll be in Chicago doing it.
Oh my!
That's right. You were the only two available, and then you.
Yeah, I said, well.
I can do a remote. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay,
as long as you're cool with me in a hotel room in Chicago.
I don't care where any of you do a show. Just do the show.
As long as the show
is
happening.
Just do the show. And the show we will do.
And then the Big Red Overreaction tomorrow, which I don't know what that's going to be like.
I don't know. I don't know what the game is going to be like.
I know.
We're going to go.
So intrigued.
We're going to sort of parse through that today, but it's a mystery game.
But it's not one of those that I'm like, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like a dreaded voice. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen.
I feel like
I'm excited about this.
So I was listening to you guys coming in. I heard Gary make the point like, hey, this is like one of the rare games where you just have no idea.
Yeah.
I feel like there's one of those games like once a year.
Mm-hmm. But because you just don't reasons like this.
No. Because most of it surrounds the idea, and this is still the case here, where you don't have any idea what Nebraska is going to give you from like a mental perspective.
95% of the time, that's it.
Like, what kind of team are they going to be?
Mm-hmm.
And as I always say, they usually bounce back from a mental perspective. But this was a weird one where there was a bye thrown in there, and then there was all these changes. Like, I guess I expect them to bounce back, but I don't have any idea.
I can't even give definitive expectations of like, if they don't do this, I'll be disappointed because I don't know. I think USC provides a lot of matchup issues for the defense that I think the defense could have a tough one.
USC is so funny because they I think their running back Marks.
Yeah.
I think he's like one of the best dudes in the country.
Yeah, Woody.
But they don't give it to him enough.
No, he's effective.
He's like the most efficient guy in the country, probably, and he just doesn't like. They don't run it. They just refuse. Like I was watching some of the supercuts of their games today, like basically the big and 60s versions today and last night, and like their first 8 offensive plays or whatever, they're all passes. Yeah. I'm like, are you going to hand it to this guy or not? The answer is no.
Well, the first game out of the gate. When they beat,
I don't know what Mayava does to that. I mean, maybe they run it with. I have no idea.
Well, when they beat, what was it
LSU?
LSU game. Watching him in that game, Woody, but also I know Zachariah Branch is great, but Kyron Hudson I thought was really good in that game too.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to the guy who came on our show yesterday, the receivers stink.
Yeah. Many people are saying if you're stuck for content, if the show's a little lagging, you want to spice it up a little bit. Call our USC guest. Doesn't matter who wins or loses.
Which one did you guys talk to yesterday?
So it's this guy named Scott Wolf.
Okay.
And he clearly hates Lincoln Riley with a passion.
You can always tell what the agenda is.
And I had heard, because the first time we had him on was in the summer and I was gone.
Okay, because we had talked to Eric McKinney, and I couldn't remember if you guys had Eric McKinney on or not.
And so the report afterwards was like, I don't think he really liked Lincoln Riley. And then I started to talk to him yesterday, and I'm like, oh boy, what's happening here? And then I just at one point I'm just like, hey, what do you think about Lincoln Riley? And he's like, I got something for you.
How much time do you have? So he thinks all the receivers are garbage too?
Yeah, the receivers aren't good.
I'd take Kyron Hudson or Zachariah Branch, but that's just me.
The receivers aren't good. The quarterback isn't good. And
the quarterback isn't Caleb Williams.
The quarterback isn't Caleb Williams.
Oh, yeah.
The quarterback, the defense is still bad, which is true.
Yeah.
The quarterback they should have made the decision to move to the next guy several weeks ago. I love this. I was very much enjoying that.
Isn't it great, though, when you do talk to a beat writer or someone who's covering the team, and you can tell immediately, especially when they're covering a team that may or may not have a coaching controversy or at least a coaching hot seat candidate, where you can always tell if they're, don't listen to the fans, he's fine. Or you can tell this person has been writing about getting rid of this guy because it'll come out in their commentary all the time.
Yeah, then you go into the bylines and you're like, oh, okay, what's going on here?
You're like, oh, okay, I see the path this guy has been on all season long. But,
by the way, we have a correspondence from Vegas Gary.
Okay.
Hi, Vegas.
Did
Gary.
he put in our parlay, the 1620 the zone parlay?
Ooh. Southern Utah, 2.5 hours from Vegas.
Okay.
Bus over tomorrow. Fly home from Cedar City right after the game.
They're flying home from Cedar City. Okay.
People say it's a beautiful drive.
All right.
From Vegas to Cedar City.
There
Well, I enjoy that. That's
Yes.
a part of the country I have not explored.
Nice. Thought Gary was sleeping.
I'm sort of jealous of all of our compadres out in Southern California this weekend. Even though
there's a lot, man.
It's not the weekend that probably I would want, because we have still some pretty good weather around here. Like I would want to go in the dead of winter and just really feel it. But nice sunshine and you get to explore the city a little bit.
Asian Joe, big listener to all of our shows.
Oh,
I know he is making his way to Los Angeles. I saw people.
It's going to be a big migration, apparently.
I had some friends that were already leaving on Monday. I've seen between Monday and these last couple of days. I've seen a handful of people posting in LA or on our way or at Epley going to LA.
Yeah.
I think I knew it would be big before the season. Like this will be a really good turnout for Nebraska. I think it might be bigger than I thought.
It kind of seems that way.
Yeah.
It kind of seems that way. People were just holding back for this one.
I wonder how many people
forget Nebraska hasn't been to a bowl game in several years.
And I wonder how many people are now thinking, ooh,
this is our bowl trip.
Yes. Like, I don't like the fact that they may not go to a bowl game, so they're going to be in LA.
Or you might go to a horrible, horrible place for a bowl game.
Yes, or that too. Yeah. Like, New York or...
Yeah. But, I mean, if Nebraska does go to a bowl game, there will still be a nice migration for that as well. And of course, Nebraska has a big alumni base in Southern California.
If they go to the... I'm sorry, I'm even doing this. If they get bowl eligible and they go to the Rate Bowl, do you think there'll be a lot of people that just stay in Arizona? Like the Snowbirds, they'll be like, hey, you know what? We're just going to go early.
Dude, I mean...
We're going to go early. And we usually go at the end of January. You know what? What's another month?
That would be great. I would love the Rate Bowl. Phoenix is high on my list.
Yeah, I love Phoenix.
Out of the potential
great take
bowl destinations, which I feel like we talk about this every single week now, but Nebraska eventually has to win a game, right?
I Phoenix, anything in Arizona, or
I'm
not
sort of
wild about Florida.
I'm out on Detroit as previously stated, and I'm kind of out on Nashville.
What about? Oh, okay.
I Charlotte would be interesting.
I've never been to Charlotte.
Well, I was informed yesterday we don't want Nebraska to go to the Duke's Mayo Bowl because it presents scheduling conflicts with Creighton basketball.
Oh,
yeah. So we don't want that.
It would be kind of a nightmare for us all.
All right, so we don't want that.
Although it would be fun to have Matt Rule back in Carolina.
Yeah, be like,
the Mayo Bowl. Yeah,
it would be great. And just with a big old, eating grin on his face.
Jesse says, will it be possible to storm another team's field? Has that ever happened before?
Hey, if you've got the majority of the people,
right? It's your home game.
Yeah.
You do whatever you want to do and try. Let them try and stop you. By the way, speaking of venues, y'all ready for another Thursday night season opener with Nebraska football?
Yeah,
on Cincinnati at Arrowhead Stadium.
I've heard the rumors. Yeah, I've seen some of these things.
I'm okay.
It's certainly preferable to Indianapolis, Josh's favorite town in America.
I would prefer Indianapolis for the simple fact that it'd be on a Saturday. If you're going to do the Arrowhead thing, I'd be all about it. But on a Thursday, no, because still got to be back here on Friday morning.
Yeah,
unless we're all doing shows out there that Thursday.
There you go.
I mean, you go to lunch.
We could do it from the pitching mound at the K.
Yeah. Oh.
Where are?
Well, that's the problem. That's why they have to be on a Thursday, because the Royals are back in town Friday night and Saturday night.
Are they?
Yes. So they'd have to play that game on a Thursday. They couldn't do it that Saturday or Friday.
So
even if they could figure out a way to do it a Friday night at Arrowhead, would have been a fun.
So the Royals are at home against the Tigers on that Friday.
So they must have a travel day on that Thursday.
Correct. They're off.
Yeah,
they're off. They're coming from Chicago to play the.
I would love to be able to
White Sox.
Spend a Labor Day weekend in Kansas City, watch some football, get after it, not have to worry about the next morning of getting up and doing a radio show. But so, yes, I'm Team Indianapolis for the simple fact that it is on a Saturday.
Maybe they're doing this for Dawson Merritt.
Maybe.
Dawson Merritt, Kansas City guy.
Well, and apparently Cincinnati is very intrigued by getting 74,000 guaranteed fans there because it is their home game.
Yeah, sure. Nebraska people don't care where the money's going.
Nope.
They'll go to the game.
Nope, they just want to go. Like, hey, 3 hours?
And yes, I would much rather go to Kansas City than Indianapolis.
Wait,
would you guys do it on a Thursday, though? Would you be okay on a Thursday?
Absolutely. I'd be fine with that.
Would there be a lot of Travis Kelce involved
Cincinnati.
with this? Cincinnati, Arrowhead Stadium.
Oh, yeah. You bet.
Okay.
Maybe even his...
This is ruining things for
Patrick
Josh a little bit.
Mahomes.
Maybe it would be the first ever game that Taylor Swift would attend that involved Nebraska football.
Because you realize, guys, in the NFL
Ever sing
schedule,
the national anthem.
They would be out of camp. They would be in basically week one of preparation for opening week of the NFL, which, depending on how things go, Kansas City very well could be hosting that Thursday if they win another Super Bowl.
It'd be the next Thursday.
Yep. So, they'll be around. I don't know what Taylor's travel schedule looks like, but I could see.
They got to have the 40th leg of the Eras tour coming up.
2025 is light for her for the first time in a while.
So she'd want to support her boo and his alma mater. And then, Patrick Mahomes ain't got nothing else to do while in Kansas City. So he's going to go watch some ball, which is what he does.
Joel writes in.
Hi, Joel.
1620 live from Power and Light.
I know.
Let's go.
We should be. I wonder what kind of crowd we get at 6 a.m.
At least there's no time change.
That's true.
That's good.
Maybe
it would be 4 a.m.
Maybe our best bet would be the following Friday at 6 a.m. at Power and Light. You guys start the coverage at 10 o'clock on Thursday.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then we anchor it at 6 a.m. the morning after.
That's an interesting way to do it, actually.
Yes, because then you'd have some people that are straggling, that are hanging out, and that would maybe get some breakfast, maybe working off the night before.
We can get Bobby Witt Jr. to show up on his way to the ballpark.
See, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Come on down, Bob.
Hold my MVP, Connor.
No, he's not going to win that. He's not going to win.
He should.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. He should. I appreciate your support, no matter how facetious it is.
I know it sounds facetious, but I actually mean it.
Will the Royals have pennant fever by the time we are all out in Kansas City for Nebraska-Cincinnati Thursday night?
I hope so, but I don't know. I always get scared.
I like your squad better than my squad.
The year after you have like a surprisingly good season, I just get real worried.
There's the letdown.
Because, it's like, they could probably regress to the mean next year, and nobody would say, that nobody would be particularly surprised.
Yeah.
But they're supposed to win.
Yes,
now they're supposed to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, your window is
expectations.
Open. I know. When that window opens,
keep the expectations low.
You gotta bust through that window. Yeah.
John emails in.
Hi, John.
If Nebraska is playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, then it is still football season. Screw Creighton basketball. Well, disagree.
Our contracts say different.
Disagree.
Y'all see what Connor's wearing right now? Try telling him that.
Well, I got a little gig.
Got a ditty?
Yeah.
Got a ditty tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing a little ditty.
Doing a little ditty tonight.
We got Creighton volleyball. One of the last chances to see Creighton volleyball this year.
See your
I guess
top five, number
really.
5 ranked Creighton Blue Jay.
Actually, they'll have plenty more opportunities to see them. There's only one regular season home match after this, and it's Sunday. But they'll be home for the entire Big East tournament, and then they'll be home.
Oh, that's right, because
basically the entire NCAA tournament
because they have a conference tournament.
That's right. They have a conference tournament.
Mm-hmm.
People forget.
Yeah.
People do forget.
That will just be them and Marquette.
Yes. That's all that really, really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys watch Friday Night Lights at all? The TV show?
No.
Okay. No.
Sorry.
Then I'm sure you guys don't have really any feelings about the reboot. Apparently today they announced on NBC there's going to be a reboot.
Ooh.
Reboot?
I don't love that.
I don't either.
Have you guys seen the clips from this new NBC show that they're doing?
Which one?
The one with the it's like a sitcom, but it's kind of filmed in the Office style, and it's at a hospital.
I have.
No.
I've seen clips. I'm mildly intrigued.
That's exactly where I'm at. I looked at it and I went, wow, that looks better than a lot of other sitcoms I've seen recently.
What is such show called?
St. Dennis, but it's spelled weird.
Okay.
No,
I have not.
What is it about? St. Dennis. Yeah. St. Denise?
It's got David Allen Greer in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
People are trying to be The Office a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel like The Office is its own thing.
Yeah, I know.
You try to take off of it, and then
BA Coaches Show writes in, if that game happens at Arrowhead and the guys from 1620 come down, I'll take them out for barbecue.
Whoa.
That's right, because he lives there.
I'll take you up on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Take you up on that.
You should know the places. You're the one who literally goes to lunch in Kansas City.
Yeah, see what happens though is I end up going there and I'm like, oh yeah, all this stuff sounds really good, but then I just end up going to Q39 because I kind of know what I'm gonna get. But like I've tried most of the other like main ones before, and that's just the one that I've like settled on. Also, you could do like it's a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So you could do reservations. You could do that at a few others too, but I know there's more options, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I always just go back to the tried and true. I've
Have you never gone to Q39 or wherever and then just immediately drove back?
Yeah, I might have done that once or twice.
Whoa.
I wouldn't say immediately, like maybe I hung around the city for a couple hours or something like that. So
it wasn't like I'm done.
I make it. No, I'm not. I don't think that I've ever done the 6-hour drive, 6-hour round trip drive just to have a 30-minute lunch.
I would just want to know what the nap's like afterwards.
I usually try to put something else in there.
Okay, good.
But I've plenty of times, and
but
I'm sure people have too.
The motivation is for the food.
That is a big part of it.
And then you're like, okay, what else can I do while I'm down here?
That's not that crazy though. You go down and you go down the morning, and then by the time you get there, it's 11 or something like that.
Hungry.
Okay, it's lunchtime. Go to a Royals game, drive back that night. It ends up for a long day, but it's
doing a Royals
very
game,
rewarding. Sure. Very rewarding.
Yeah. Okay.
Lots of fun.
I wanted you to say, yeah, I've actually gone, literally paid your check, got in your car, and just headed back.
I don't think so.
That would have been awesome.
I don't think so. I did stop through.
I would be sleepy though.
I stopped through on my way to and back from Fayetteville for that regional that year. Yeah. That was perfect.
What is it?
Because it's like it's exactly halfway.
I've done that drive. Yeah, it's like not even 2 hours, right? Between Fayetteville and Kansas City.
It's three. It's three on each side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh, I thought it was shorter than that. So we went to 1 year when I was coaching out at Millard North. One of our players' brother played for Arkansas, and they were playing in a super regional. And we played in the morning in the super regionals that night. We didn't play the next day, so we were able to drive from Kansas City. We were able to drive into Fayetteville, go to the super regional game, and then come back that
Heck
night.
of a town.
Yeah,
I've always said Nebraska should get going with Arkansas a little bit.
That would be cool to have.
Hook them up.
Have a little home and home. I guess they used to do midweek games every now and then with them, but they've never had the weekend home and home, which would be fantastic.
Sindelar writes in, a good life hack is to go to Q39 and then go to IKEA to walk it off.
Interesting. Okay. That's a good play.
I have that reaction because every time we go to Kansas City for whatever, as long as I'm going there with my wife, we have to go to IKEA.
Really?
That's always the same.
I don't think I've ever, I think I've maybe been inside of an IKEA once.
Yeah.
I have not seen the splendor of IKEA.
It does nothing for me.
Poll question. Have you seen the splendor of IKEA?
Okay.
You're literally walking by a bunch of staged, this is what your apartment could look like. This is what this could look like. This is what this room could look like.
I'll take it.
Oh, congratulations on your purchase of a fervent flopper.
That's what I did when I went to when we got our house. We went to Nebraska Furniture Mart and they had one of those like basically living rooms kind of set up.
And I'm like, I like all this.
I think we'll do this.
Everything.
Like the couch and the table and the side tables and the chair.
Yeah.
And they're like, yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, I like that.
Let's just put it on the Mark card.
So you can you get an idea of what it is, but yeah, I think we went to IKEA to put a lot of stuff in the nursery when Reese was being born. That's why we went. But man, every time we go since, she gets so excited about it. I'm just like, oh gosh, But he's right.
You're gonna have to buy something.
You're gonna but Sindelar's
do
right.
they
You're
ship?
gonna walk it off.
Do they ship?
No, that's the problem.
You gotta
go.
Yikes.
You gotta go.
What did we say recently, Josh, that they were building out by the Speedway?
Buc-ee's.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
there you
they've
go.
made it up that north.
So they got Whataburger.
Damn.
They got Buc-ee's. They're about to have Buc-ee's
Holy
probably in a
smokes.
couple of years.
Matter of time.
You know,
Isn't a Whataburger's got to sneak up here at some point, right?
I mean, it's inching closer and closer.
Yeah, I feel like we're next 5 years. You think?
There was a world. I mean, we relatively recently where there were no Chick-fil-A's around here. Remember
That's true,
that?
yeah.
And we would just
yeah.
we would cry and cry and cry about how there were no
Actually,
Chick-fil-A's.
it was kind of like the chicken version of In-N-Out Burger. Anytime you go out west, you're like, oh God, I can't wait to go to In-N-Out Burger. Then you had it, you're like, okay, it's fine. That was the same thing with Chick-fil-A. You go anywhere there's a Chick-fil-A, you had to go. It was a chicken sandwich at the end of the day, but it was because you couldn't get it in Omaha. So you're like, I love this. I think that's why a lot of us Omahans like In-N-Out Burger.
100%.
You guys realize
that's
there
definitely
are
why.
better burgers here in Omaha than there are In-N-Out.
There are. Yes.
But it's In-N-Out, man.
You only get
menu.
Yeah.
But you only get
yeah.
so many
Yes,
opportunities.
The secret menu.
You only get so many opportunities
It's
to
true.
be around one. You know, that's why when we took young Nick to Vegas last year, we had to go to the In-N-Out.
Was that his first In-N-Out experience?
Oh yeah.
What did he think?
Oh yeah. I think he enjoyed it.
Okay. So he'll
go
back.
We ate it outside, and there's a little plaza there. It's by the link up by the Ferris wheel there. And there's like a little water fountain or water fountain where everybody kind of sits and eats. But then there's also a bunch of pigeons just kind of crapping anywhere and waiting for fries to drop on the floor. And so that was Nick's first Whataburger or In-N-Out experience. It's great.
Oh gosh.
Let's see.
USC's going to be out there, right? Oh yeah, because I guess John's going to be calling the basketball.
Yeah.
So both. Oh, you all get to go. You get to go, right?
No.
What? I'm sorry, Josh.
Do you have any opinions?
I didn't.
on that?
I didn't mean to. I honestly didn't know.
Josh, you're too busy.
It's probably for the best.
Okay.
But you like camaraderie.
I do.
You love camaraderie.
Yeah.
I love
my
camaraderie.
favorite thing
I figured
in the world.
there needed to be a 1620 the zone meal one of the nights where you guys all get together, just have a banger of a dinner. Like
Yeah.
at someplace fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of shows in a short amount of time last time. This year it'll be a little bit more spread out. Like we'll have some time to move around a little
That's
bit.
good.
We'll have 2 full free days before Creighton plays on Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
So
I've been
I
trying
I
to
guess we'll do
go-
shows on Monday, but
I've been trying to go to Best Friend in Vegas.
best friend.
It's a restaurant.
Oh,
I just really want to eat there.
You've heard about this?
I have.
How?
The TV.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives.
No.
what do they make it, best friend?
Well, it's it's a Korean Mexican fusion
Oh,
from Chef Roy Choi, who did
okay.
the movie Chef with Jon Favreau.
Mhm.
Where is it located, Josh?
Park MGM.
Oh, okay. All right. Creighton's playing at the MGM Grand. It's right across the street, basically.
Okay.
So now Connor's going to go and let you know. But see, you
I don't want to do
yeah,
that.
You can't go.
I don't want to do that to my guy.
Yeah, you can't go.
After Creighton inevitably loses one of those games, I'm going to go and
whoa.
get sad pizza at New York, and then just put all my money in a slot machine and
Okay.
just rip a couple off
Sad pizza.
for a little while.
As opposed to happy pizza.
Jason and Pender, IKEA is evil. There's an entrance, and then you have to walk through the entire store to escape.
Yep, true.
My wife used to make me go when we would go to the Mall of America. Now I sit at the bar in the mall while she goes. That is
Yeah.
a wild trap up there in
Mall of
Bloomington,
America?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
The Mall of America with an IKEA right next to it.
Yeah.
You could spend days.
It-
There's also a Great Wolf Lodge.
Well,
right there.
there's nothing next to that one in Kansas City, or I guess not even technically Kansas City, where that IKEA is, where you could do that like you can in Minnesota, where you could actually go just across the way and hang out at a bar. Like IKEA, there's like a little strip mall nearby, but it's not like I think you got to walk across a major highway. It's no, you're stuck there. If IKEA knew what they were doing now, I know they get you with the meatballs. You can have their Swedish meatballs, which
I do love when they come around and offer the
thank you.
appetizers on a toothpick.
yep,
I love when that
give you
happens.
the meatballs. They need to offer up some beer.
I do love when that happens.
I wish they would do that too.
That's what they did at Nebraska Furniture Mart.
And that was one of the most genius moves. And I'll tell you, it actually, I don't know if this is why they did it, but we fell into the trap of what I think it's intended for. We were debating on we were going to get it. This was in our old house. We had to get a new fridge. And we're like, do we need a new range too? I don't know. Well, you know what? Let's go have a beer. Let's talk about it because this seems like a good deal.
Well, then once you have a beer, you're a lot more likely to buy kitchen appliances.
Oh, you bet. And like you said, hey, we got the card here. Put it on the NFM card. Oh, zero financing. All right, 0%. Boom, boom.
One beer loosened you up enough to buy a range?
Sure did.
I don't know what the percentage is, Josh, but
I mean, it was a fairy nectar.
If you go off of history, you are I'll speak for myself. I don't know about anybody else, but like if I have one beer, two beers, whatever, I am roughly 8 to 10 times more likely to make a large purchase.
Yeah, I'm much more able to rationalize the purchase.
All of a sudden I start shopping on the internet.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I did do that.
It's when responsible spending finds its dead end.
Yeah. And it's like you're fully aware and like, you know, you have control over your faculties during this. But something overcomes you.
Something about the pros all of a sudden start outweighing the cons.
Yeah. You're thinking positive.
Because then you think about, gosh, when we get this is going to be amazing. When this thing shows up and installed, because I also paid for the delivery. Oh, this is going to be amazing.
Poll question going up at Happer Show. Does a single beer make you more likely to rationalize a large purchase?
Good
yes
poll
or no?
question.
That is a good poll question. I feel like the success rate is probably up there too. It's just
I think you guys are going to win that poll question.
Yeah.
I can't.
It was one of those things where we had talked about it. It wasn't like all of a sudden we just saw it like, hey, a new range sounds cool. We could have gone either way on it. I'd like to think our drink and just talking it over a large beer that pushed us over
absolutely
into the yes category, into the yes section.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
Maybe people should do that when they go like house hunting.
Yes.
You know,
well,
just like get a little bit of sauce in you and then all of a sudden like put an offer down.
Well, and some of those fancy ones, the open house, they'll serve like wine.
Great.
You can have wine.
Great. It's all a trap.
Yeah.
It's all a trap. And we fall into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. The polls are up at Happer Show. Please vote. We'll address those at the end of the show.
Connor, an hour ago, the Nebraska equipment truck arrived at the Coliseum.
I got a few tweets from various people last night because apparently they were updating people more frequently on Facebook.
Yeah. I think the equipment truck was there yesterday, to be honest.
It was still en route yesterday.
Was it?
They did arrive last night, though, I think.
Now the equipment managers got there yesterday because my man Kyle was already shooting some scenes from inside the Coliseum.
Nice.
So Kyle already got there.
Way to go, Kyle.
Yeah. Kyle's the man.
He is. All right. Nick, have a great weekend.
You too. You guys, let's have a good weekend. Let's get weird with this game tomorrow.
Absolutely. Why not?
It's going to be weird.
That is the Crossover, powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everylevelconcrete.com. It's Friday. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Friday. It's the Connor Happer Show. We are on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Good morning, everybody. Let's get back into football mode a little bit here, right? Come on. Come on.
Yeah,
you
hit that basketball button.
The Reavers got the regular season finale this weekend.
That's right, they do. How'd you know that?
I know things.
Go 1-0.
Go 1-0.
Host a playoff game in a couple weeks.
Day by day, Josh.
That's right.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And then Josh gets a nice trip to Texas.
That's right.
In a few weeks.
December 18th.
Ooh, a little longer than a few weeks, I guess.
That's the goal.
December 18th feels a long way away, but I guess it's not. Still 3 more games left to play for Nebraska before we get fully into the portal talk and the offseason changes and things like that, but it's going to hit you fast. Got a little taste of it last night. Nebraska flipped Dawson Merritt from Alabama.
Yeah, let's go.
And so what a perfect guest to have on a Friday. Bryan Munson will join the show here in about 20 minutes. Steve Sipple, we're told, according to Robin Washett's itinerary, that the Husker Online team will be landing in Los Angeles at probably about an hour before we are scheduled to talk to Sipple. So I think our chances are okay. He'll probably be in transit somewhere.
I'm in an Uber.
Best case scenario, he's already, in the hotel and ready to roll for a 10:30 a.m. Pacific time conversation.
Sean got us an Uber Black.
Yeah. I want that to be a bold question, but I want to get taken out of context.
Right. It's a lot of room.
Does Sean Callahan order Uber Black? For sure.
Answer in the chat, yes or no. You know in your heart of hearts what the answer is.
I like that. You go on the road a few times a year, you splurge for your boys.
That's
what you do. It's a good boss to work
nickel and diamond crap.
Bryan Munson and Steve Sipple are our guests today. No BC. He will be in the air, and we can't talk to people from the air.
I mean, we can. They just are polite enough not to.
What would it be like? What would it be like? Yeah. I don't think you get cell reception up there.
They got those phones in the back of the seat.
No, they don't.
Not anymore.
They haven't had those in years.
I don't fly a lot.
What is this? The mid 2000s?
I fly charter.
They don't have the phones in the back of the seats. If they did, you wouldn't know what to do because there'd be numbers on it, and it wouldn't have your contacts to dial into them. It'd be too confusing for people.
You just swipe a credit
card. Josh, did you know that they don't really have pay phones anymore? They don't do those.
I fly charter.
Josh is stuck in an earlier time, a different time,
a better time.
America was a different country back then. All right, that's our lineup powered by the Roofery's John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you guys? 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor or Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. We say good morning to the YouTube streamers. What's up, Bert? 1620 The Zone TV on YouTube or on zonetv.live.
Can I get some red balloons in the chat, please?
Red balloons in the chat. Stay tuned for Josh's hype speech coming up at 1:30.
1:30, okay.
This afternoon. Let's just say 1:30. We'll loosely say 1:30. Excited to see what you come up with, Josh. Were you able to convince yourself that there is indeed a path for Nebraska winning this game?
Oh, there's a clear path to victory here tomorrow.
How many Holgo bombs did you drop in there? How many Red Bulls did you drink in preparation for making it?
I dropped one Holgo bomb.
Okay.
I referenced Red Bull one time.
All right.
I had a tiny Red Bull to get into character last night.
Good job. I'd like to hear your process. It's
interesting.
Because you got to go to a place.
Yeah, and to get into that character, to be that loud and aggressive, there needs to be quite literally no one around. And Jake was running the board for that Omaha basketball game last night. It was going pretty late.
Yeah.
I didn't want to scare the poor child.
So you waited for that game to get over before you started yelling into a microphone?
No, but I think the takes after he left were better.
Okay, good. So we'll see what he came up with during our pick segment later on in the show. Last week was a bad week for me. It was a bad week for you, but I think you were slightly better.
Yeah.
Elsewhere on the show today, as I mentioned, Nebraska gets a flip from Dawson Merritt. We'll cover that in spades with Bryan Munson coming up here in about 15 minutes. We'll take a look back at Matt Rule and Nebraska in their meetings with Lincoln Riley. There's been
interesting.
Quite a few of them over the last several years. So we'll dive into those during the show today and see if we can glean anything from those. Another target number to hit for Nebraska's offense. Another ugly Thursday night football game last night that was kind of good, but never really good, but definitely ugly once again. And, of course, at noon today, we'll have our Nebraska-USC history lesson. We don't go back to the 20s today, Josh. We go back to the late 60s.
We go back to all those times that Nebraska has beaten USC.
0 times.
The glory days.
0 times. Nebraska has never, ever, 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 ever beaten USC.
Never, ever?
Never, ever. In fact, Nebraska, USC is the only active opponent that Nebraska has played more than once and never beaten.
Well, that needs to change.
That's right. You should have had that little nugget for your hype speech last night. But sorry, we'll cover that in the history lesson coming up at noon today. All right, we're off and running here on a Friday. And I'm sure you maybe all saw what I'm going to say is the funniest video I've ever seen. That might seem like hyperbole.
High praise.
There's a lot of great videos out there.
Wow, what's the funniest video I've ever seen?
What's the funniest video you've ever seen? Please comment in the chat. What's the funniest video you've ever seen?
Yeah, please do that. That's a great point.
I would like to add one to the conversation.
Okay.
When we come back, and it involves something that for some reason people care about that's happening tonight.
I have many takes about this and the video.
Excellent. We'll cover that next on the Connor Happer Show on a Friday, 1620 The Zone.
Turn to the
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, here's some submissions from you all on the funniest video. Mike writes in, Josh vomiting into a trash can.
Just happy to be in the conversation.
Radio host vomits in trash can, but you can't see it. You can only see him, his butt hunched over.
and he thinks about it for far too long. Am I going? Am I going? I don't think I'm going.
The best part is the almost grabbing of the headset and then down and then right back to it. It's pretty good. Some others, I'm not sure if I know exactly what we're talking about here in some areas, but Star Wars fiend. I think a recent funny video are the ones on TikTok where the wife pretends to be fighting with someone in the back seat, and the husband's reaction, she makes it so believable he starts yelling and fighting with her. I don't know what he's talking about. Alex says the video of a kid arguing with someone only to suddenly turn around and sprint the other direction, jumps, rotates 45 degrees just in time to smack into the wall, still leaves rent-free in my head. I've probably seen that, but I can't exactly picture it.
I like when...
Girl getting smacked with the shovel. I've never seen that.
That sounds like something I would like.
That doesn't seem that funny, right?
I like when...
The noise is important. I always like the kid who shows up to the state fair and he's got all those things to say and he says, apparently I've never been on live television before. I love that kid.
I like Turtles Kid.
I like Turtles Kid. That's classic.
When Will Ferrell made his daughter play the landlord or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. That's good. That's really old school.
That is.
That's a good one. But I have another one to add to the tank here.
Do you have an opinion?
I have an opinion. This is a great video. I don't know why. We'll talk about the circumstances surrounding this here momentarily, Josh. But what you're about to see is a young, intrepid reporter, young child. You know, it's like halfway one of those like, hey, I'm a kid and I'm interviewing someone. And halfway kind of like real, because she clearly like wants to do this with her life.
She's not so young that it's like, oh, it's an adorable child.
Right.
Because you can't put a child in that arena.
And the interview subject is none other than Mike Tyson. And she comes with a hard-hitting question. And I will play that video for you right now. I laughed for a long time at this last night.
Return to the ring. For this fight, you are setting a monumental opportunity. Return to the ring. For this fight, you are setting a monumental opportunity for kids my age to see the legend Mike Tyson in the ring for the first time. So after such a successful career, what type of legacy would you like to leave behind when it's all said and done?
Well, I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. Legacy doesn't mean nothing. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Someone said that word and everyone grabbed on the word, so now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be over. Who cares about legacy after that? What a big ego. So I'm going to die. I want people to think that I'm this, I'm great. No, we're nothing. We're just dead. We're dust. We're absolutely nothing. Our legacy is nothing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is something that I have not heard before, someone say that as an answer.
Can you really imagine somebody say, I want my legacy to be this way when you're dead? Why do you want somebody to, you think somebody really wants to think about you? What's the audacity? I think, I want people to think about me when I'm gone. Who the cares about me when I'm gone? Well, my kids, maybe, or grandkids.
Yeah, true.
Cares?
Yeah, maybe my family and my loved ones.
Why did they put that kid there? What did they think was going to happen? It's Mike Tyson.
So
it's Mike Tyson. You know, what do you want people thinking about you when you're dead? You're dead. You're nothing. You're dust. That's just a really hard thing to hear, probably, as a child who has their own vision of how life is going to work and how death might work. Mike Tyson says, no. When you're dead, you're just dead. You're dead. That's it. Nobody cares. Why do I care?
So first things first, somebody needs to hire that girl right away because she handled it.
She's absolute pro.
Total pro.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson has been asked this question about 1 million times, and that is his answer to the question every time. When he
so you're saying the kid should do her research?
No, I'm
do
not.
her homework a little bit?
I'm not, but he's been consistent on this. Did he have to go so hard in front of a child? No.
There's also like it's the eye contact and the straight face too. Like he does not break character at all. Mostly because that's him, right? He does it. He's not doing a bit by saying what he's saying. That's him. But he can't, like, just because he's getting interviewed by a child doesn't mean he's going to have some fluffy answer for her just because, she's a kid.
He probably thinks she needs to hear this.
And, you're dead. You're dust. Doesn't matter.
Who wants to think about you when you're gone? And maybe my kids.
And then to punctuate it with the F-bomb. Who the bleep? Like, he didn't have to keep going, but he did.
Right.
She said, thanks for sharing that.
I hadn't heard it like that before.
Wow, it's interesting. Think about that.
In all my 12 years of existence, I had never heard it like that.
You're dead. You're dead. You're dust. You're nothing.
You're in the bleeping dirt.
This is a stupid fight, but I'm glad that we got this out of it because this is an all-timer. All-timer.
There are people in the hallways of this building.
Oh, I've been asked about it so many times.
Talking about this.
I know.
As if it is a real fight.
I figured it out. Like, it's not for sports people.
Bingo.
It's not for sports people.
If it was for sports people, it would be broadcast on a sports channel.
Yeah. It's on Netflix.
That's right. An entertainment venue.
It's not for sports people.
That's right.
This is a fight, a sport for everybody else, for people who actually don't care about sports and enjoy reality television.
That's right.
I don't know. But you're right, Josh. I walked around the office and like, because we're the sports people, we get asked about, hey, what do you think about this Tyson-Jake Paul thing? And I'm like, I have no opinions whatsoever. I haven't thought about it at all.
Yeah.
Why would I care whatsoever? I'll probably watch it, but it wasn't on my radar more than like 15 hours ago.
Did you see Mike Tyson slap him? He's got quick hands. He can still go.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter if he can still go or not because he signed a contract that said he will not go.
So I feel bad telling people around the office that this is a complete sham and it's rigged, but you have to tell them the truth. We're kind of the Mike Tyson of this situation.
That's right.
I'm sorry, kid, but this is not this is not really good. This is a bad thing, actually.
Jake Paul's minus 275 to win.
Yeah. I hope, and maybe like I hope Tyson wins.
I hope he does too.
I hope Tyson like kills him. I mean, I hope he doesn't die, but I hope Tyson like beats him up.
I don't care what happens to Jake Paul in that ring.
Yeah.
You can quote me on that.
Got an email from John.
Hi, John.
Listen, child, life means nothing. No one will ever care about you or anything you've ever done. And when you die, you're dead and no one will ever think of you again.
Weird for a guy who's done so much to be like, none of it matters.
With a straight face, in direct eye contact, like almost a laser beam coming out of his eye. I am dead serious when I say this. This is not a funny interview that we're doing. You're asking me about my legacy, and I'm going to tell you about it. And it's that it don't matter because once you're dead, you're dead. So good. So good. Thank you for that video. If there's one thing we got from this, it was that. All right. Let's talk to Bryan Munson.
Let's.
I don't care who wins. I'll probably watch it though. What time does it start?
It says 7:00. There's like three or four fights before that.
Probably like 9 or 9:30, 10.
It's at Jerry World, and I hear they're going to bring the curtain out.
So instead of watching your reruns of the, I guess The Office isn't on there anymore, but like Better Call Saul or something like that, you just throw that on.
Flip on over.
Yep. All right, Bryan Munson, let's talk some recruiting. Big news of recruiting yesterday. Big news. We'll be back next on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y Wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, folks, it is flip season. We've talked over the last couple weeks about how it's a little slow going. Nebraska needs to pick things up. Maybe that bye will help them get out on the road. And boy, has it ever been productive so far anyway, as we catch up with Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com. Hello, Munson. Happy Friday. How are you?
Hey, buddy. I'm sitting up here in the motherland right now.
Oh, you're here.
Yeah, I'm in central Nebraska, headed out to Kearney, pulled over to chat with you and maybe discuss a couple things going on with recruiting. I don't know. I heard there was something that happened massively yesterday, but I don't know.
Yeah, so, I love. So Dawson Merritt is committed now finally to Nebraska after this long flirtation. But here's what I like about Dawson. Dawson is he's out there right now hinting at some more things. We love when the recruits flip and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're not done. Now sometimes it comes to fruition, sometimes it doesn't. But let's start with Merritt. And Nebraska's, pretty, I mean, their huge effort to pursue him over this long period of time, even as he's been committed to Alabama. What went into the decision to ultimately end up committed to Nebraska?
Well, I think he wants to be part of building back Nebraska underneath Matt Rule. I think he sees, Tony White as being a kind of a great defensive mind. I think he loves the aspect of he can grow as a person, coming to Lincoln, but I think he also sees what Matt Rule is kind of putting in place there. And I think that is a big part of his decision. He really wants to help kind of build back, Nebraska into getting back to like where they were in the glory days. And I totally respect them. Obviously, when was the last time Nebraska flipped an Alabama commitment?
Yeah.
And, you mentioned flipping season. I mean, we skip over Juju Marks. We skip over Isaiah Mosey. You have three of your best players or recruits in the 2025 class are flips, directly from flips. You lose Bryson Hayes, Jeremiah Jones, still flirting with Missouri a little bit. But there's several other guys out there that Nebraska could end up getting here to kind of close things out in the coming weeks. But Dawson Merritt, to me, is a huge linchpin because the Kansas City references, to where you want Jamar Mosey to be able to go in there and kind of do his thing in Kansas City. When you get Merritt out of Kansas City and you bring him to Lincoln, it opens up a lot of different possibilities with and getting Isaiah, to kind of go up there too. So I mean, this is going to get really, really interesting, I think, when it comes to the success that Nebraska could have in that open market and what they could kind of do to kind of get out of that. Because there's clearly a lot of 2026 talent there too. And it's going to be fun to kind of see what Nebraska can do. But Merritt is a pin his ears back, pass rushing specialist, but that can also go sideline to sideline. Tremendous athlete, put on his huddle. Oh my goodness. The kid just flashes all over the field. Great size, number 14th edge in the nation, according to On3. Solid 4-star. I love what it does to Nebraska's linebacking class because you look at him, next to Jones, next to Mooberry.
Yeah.
They've really got some talented guys kind of going in there at that second level to sit in the linebacker.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was going to ask you about next. So obviously he goes in as the highest rated player in the class right now, according to On3. But you mentioned just the room that he's in, and these guys have the traits of Merritt sort of in common in that they're a little bit longer and they're a little bit rangier and more athletic. Probably, usually when you have those guys, they have the ability to cover a little bit as well. Merritt, Jones, and Mooberry. I mean, that's a heck of a group there for Rob Dvorak, who, everything we hear about him is like, box gets checked all the time.
Definitely. I love the way the room looks, adding those three guys to it. To your point, you get a couple guys like Jones and Merritt that can kind of do some different things, off the edge. And I'm not saying that Blueberry can't, but I like Blueberry in space. I mean, that's why also people like him as a tight end guy. He's longer, he's rangier, he can do some different things for you as he kind of drops off and plays in some space, but he's obviously a guy that you can walk up and ask him to get after the quarterback as well. So I don't think that Jones understands, any type of bounds. And I don't think Nebraska sees it either. He could play inside, he could play outside, but then Nebraska got this exceptional outside guy, but you've got a guy that you can flip inside and outside with Jones too. There's just so much versatility and so much talent between those three. I think it's a huge upgrade for what Dvorak has currently like in the room. But I mean, I think you can see two of those guys at least, figuring into some sort of an equation to get on the field next fall.
Where do you think Dawson Merritt as a peer recruiter sort of here now and working for Nebraska, as the, he takes the mantle as the top guy in the class, and usually those guys, especially if they have the right personality traits, can be really, really important people for Nebraska in their recruiting game. Where do you think he has the relationships in some guys that he's, sort of, tossing out there right now? Now, he's not mentioning anybody specifically, but he's saying, hey, look, there's Nebraska's got some chances where they already have their hooks in, and maybe Dawson Merritt can go in and kind of try to be the finisher on a couple of those.
Well, I think when you look at the other weekends that he's been up in Lincoln, there is one player that kind of stands out, and it's Michael Terry III. They were both in Lincoln for their official visit for the spring game in April. They hung out together, and they were very close with Dylan Raiola. Raiola, was with them and hung out with them the entire weekend. I think that they all got along tremendously. I think even like TJ Lateef kind of plays into that too, because Lateef was there, during that weekend, and he was with all those guys as well. So I think he's referencing Michael Terry III, and which is interesting because Merritt, like you said, the top recruit in the class for Nebraska now in 2025, Michael Terry is the number one athlete in the nation according to On3. So this is a 5-star guy, that we're start talking about now. So I think that would be huge. I think that Nebraska, I think still to him kind of makes a lot of sense with where things are going offensively. I don't want to overstate this. I'm going to use it right now with you. I think Holgerson's going to matter a little bit with Michael Terry. Let's just put it that way. I think Holgerson is going to matter here. I think the fact that, of where he coached at previously, I think it's understood with what he can kind of do with the offense, how he can get things going. I think Michael Terry sees an immediate, impact on the field for the Huskers, and that helps out as well. And I'm not going to sit there and tell you that there's not a billion things to not like about Texas. There is. I mean, Sarkisian's got them going the right direction. They've got tons and tons of talent. But the one thing Nebraska can do is they can put him on the field directly into part of that building back the program kind of process next year, and he would have that role like a Corey Barney kind of role for Nebraska next year. So I think that part really intrigues him. But then Chase Lofton kind of comes in the equation. You got Aiden Manatee, the safety that's committed to Cal.
Yep.
And Terry's not necessarily a commitment anywhere, but one other name to kind of mention, the guy that was with them during the official visit weekend in April, a guy that came back during the Colorado game, Cortez Mills. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that things are done there either. I think that Nebraska is absolutely still being active in that space. They had 3 coaches in Florida last week checking things out, and I would 100% guarantee that McGuire and whomever and one other coach was down there checking him out last week. So that's a big thing, I think, for Nebraska, is that they've been relentless when it comes to this class and recruiting. Like I said, I gave huge props to Rule when it came to what he pulled off with Merritt. I would do it again with Terry to say the same exact thing. I think Rule has really been involved when it comes to recruiting this class.
Yeah, just based off of that, you have one to show for it right now, and you just mentioned all those other guys. Lofton, Mills, Manitowoc, all committed to other places right now. Everyone feels like Nebraska is still in the conversation with them. It just feels like if you're looking back at the last couple weeks here, and maybe even just this week, as coaches were out on the road, or last week as Nebraska coaches were out on the road, how much have they turned up the heat? I guess, like how much more? I don't know if it's aggressive. Like, how would you characterize what they've done just in terms of really trying to zero in on these guys, because the buzz seems pretty good over the last 10, 14 days.
Nebraska is giving them the attention that, it's not, there's a slippery slope. You can give too much or you can not give enough. And I think Nebraska does the right things by giving the right amount of attention, but it's not always just about football. It's about life. It's about school. It's about what's going on with your family. And I always find that reaction that I get from those kids when I talk to them about like what's going on with the relationship, they always mention that. It's not always about football. It's about everything else. They're building that total relationship, and it's not 100% centered on football. But I think that what Nebraska does is that they have probably the most communication with these recruits, but it doesn't like overly saturate the guys' lives, because they're not just going to talk about football and what you did this week and how are you feeling and whatever. It's about everything, and they continue to have these conversations as they go on. So I think that part is really critical. I think their approach to recruiting and how they're going about it is very valuable, because I don't think that they can wear out those guys talking about those other topics that are kind of going on in their worlds. So I think Nebraska has dialed it up. I think obviously a little bit of what's in play here too, that maybe we haven't just the elephant in the room, is NIL is playing into this somewhat, and I think it's going to continue to play a role with the other players as well. I think when you miss out on a guy like Sanders, the offensive tackle that Nebraska, missed out, that went to Tennessee, I think you did have some sort of an allocation that was there that you can maybe kind of spread around a little bit, and you can go ahead and play in those spaces. Maybe you can go ahead and outbid a couple of guys to get some players up there. So that part there, although it's kind of always in that gray area, the fuzzy side of things, I think that's absolutely in play. But I think obviously the coaching staff and what the program is doing as a whole remains very critical. And I think also the bonds that are there between a couple of these guys, and when Nebraska started recruiting them and putting them together, that was another part that gets really, really, really overlooked. But when you and I talked about it during the summer and spring, when Nebraska was bringing some of those guys in together, it now comes back, and it's very, very critical to how Nebraska is assembling this class, because those are some long-standing bonds. And when you get a guy like Merritt to flip and come back to Nebraska, it's influential to the other guys that were there that week.
With that being said, if you are going to flip some guys from other places who are committed to other places, they'd like an obvious reason why, and how much of what Nebraska does and the momentum that they create in the final 3 games of the season, whether that's real, tangible or not, how much does that matter in the specific recruitments of these guys who are kind of still on the hook?
Well, I think obviously when you start talking about the changes in the offense, bringing Holgorsen in, needing to be a little more effective, getting bowl eligible, it's another tangible step towards rebuilding. I think also when you start talking about the air raid kind of offense that people kind of are associating with Holgorsen being there, which I don't think people can kind of really expect to have happen on Saturday. Let's just be honest. I think you start talking about the ways Nebraska is going to try to go out there and win and get the offense going, and obviously with the 5-star, what will be a true sophomore quarterback next year. So I think that there's a lot of things that kind of stack up that are very positive in the space for Nebraska, but I do feel like getting to bowl eligible, is a big part of kind of taking another step forward in year 2 for Matt Rule. And if you can kind of do that, it's another thing to point at that kind of gives evidence to, hey, we didn't have a great game against Indiana. We played Ohio State tough. We could have been in this game a little bit better and maybe even won it. But I think that bowl eligibility is something that you just can't take away. And then you have all these other pieces kind of coming together. And man, I tell you what, I've been contacting a lot of the commitments. It's almost like the whole thing has flipped to where the recruits that aren't coming in December or January now is way less than the guys that will be there in January. So this is this is a group that wants to get to work right away when it comes to getting into Lincoln for the spring semester.
This may be strikingly close to an answer that you've given already in this interview, but like I'm sitting here wondering how Nebraska has just kind of out of thin air created this seemingly momentum for themselves. And maybe the answer is just that one guy can sort of do that, because we've talked about this. I mean, this class throughout the entire season where, I don't know, maybe it's sort of like underwhelming. It wasn't, it lacked star power and whatever it might be. I mean, it's still going to be a Nebraska top 30, whatever class, but now you add in some guys at the end of it. And you've started on that train now. Like it's just sort of happened kind of out of nowhere. Like, how have they done that?
I agree. I mean, you and I have talked about it. Like, what's the class size going to get to, high teens, maybe 20. Now we're talking 23, 24, right? And there is kind of this surge into the month of November and seemingly off of, what wouldn't be their best performances on the field. But I think you're still riding high because you brought a lot of these guys in for Colorado, so they saw right away that there was a huge potential. Maybe they get into the conference schedule and it doesn't work quite as well yet, against some of those guys, and they need to figure that part out. But you're able to still kind of drive your success off when you were here, the environment, what's going on with the team, the key players that are there in these other places. I think obviously still, kind of coming back to Coach White, I think it's a huge thing. And I think also, like I said, it's just, there's a thing about Matt Rule. And I think when people, and I talked to a former Husker, and I mentioned it in Tunnel Talk, I talked about the Merritt commitment and, where he kind of saw things going. He said, I wouldn't bet against that guy. He really, there's a lot of things there. I think that he's just he's kind of got the bigger picture in his mind. He's being a great architect and he's pulling these things together. And I don't think necessarily the tangible things haven't been there recently, but I think the tangible pieces have been there before throughout the season in bits and phases. And thankfully those things kind of all happen in the right weekends and the right windows to where you still kind of use them to approach those recruits.
All right, Munson. Well, you're in it now. There's no stopping this train. Signing day is right around the corner, and you're going to have weeks like this as we go forward.
I look forward to talking to you about them, man.
All right, see you later, Munson.
Later, dude.
That's Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com, who will get back out on Interstate 80 probably.
It's flip season.
It is flip season.
Let's go.
I hate that we're at the point where we have to you almost kind of want to get to the resolution of the season. You almost want to get to the resolution of the season and find out what this roster is going to look like, what the coaching staff is going to look like. Hell, I mean, from a more global perspective, right? The big picture roster, how many people are going to be here and all that stuff with the changes that are coming down on high. But
two new coordinators.
At least one.
Yeah.
At least one. I don't know about two.
Tony White going to finally get that gig?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe not. It's all timing. So you don't want to fast forward through the rest of it, but really curious to see what momentum they're able to create for themselves in the last 3 weeks of the season, not only on the field, but from a recruiting standpoint, and then how they're able to push that into the offseason. Dana Holgorsen absolutely brings a spark. Right? Munson mentioned it a little bit. You're going after offensive guys. You got to give them a reason, right? Well, why? You got a bunch of talented players, and they're not producing at the level that I envision myself producing at. So why would I come play for you? Okay, great. We're going to go get a new offensive coordinator, and they did. So I can't wait to see what it becomes. All right, we'll take a break. A few things to come on the other side. We'll take a look at Matt Rule and Nebraska versus
Matt
Rule versus Lincoln Riley. A little history there. But I wanted to remind you first that we have a busy weekend here on our NRG Media cluster of stations.
How busy?
Very busy, Josh, as you know this firsthand.
I do.
Tomorrow, Blue Jay shoot around. Creighton takes on UMKC or Kansas City, the Ruse, at 4:30 will be the Blue Jay shoot around. 5:30 tip off, so 5 o'clock from courtside with John. Nebraska, of course, plays at 3 tomorrow. Big Road Overreaction will be right when the game ends. Still,
as always,
that will be on 1620 The Zone. The Creighton coverage, well, the Creighton game, which coverage starts at 5 o'clock, right? 5 o'clock on 1019 The Keg. Blue Jay shoot around 4:30 to 5 on 1620 The Zone. Creighton game starting at 5 on 1019 The Keg. Big Red Overreaction after the Nebraska game. It's probably 6 or 6:30 on 1620 The Zone. And then after all of that, Blue Jay overtime with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. But there's more. There's more.
There's so much more, Connor.
We have the Mavs this weekend, both basketball and hockey. Hockey is out playing 2 games at Arizona State this weekend. Tonight at 7:30 on 1290 Coil. Tomorrow at 7:30 on 1290 Coil. And then UNO basketball tomorrow night at Southern Utah at 7 o'clock on 1180 The Zone. Everybody get that?
Good.
Because Josh is not taking any more questions.
That's right. There's also some Creighton volleyball in there.
There's some Creighton volleyball in there. That'd be tonight and Sunday.
That's right.
All right. Just make sure you got that all straight. Make sure we got that all straight.
There will be a test later.
There will be?
That's right.
I don't know if I'll do good. I needed that graphic. I'll tell you that. The graphic, as I was referencing there, is up at 1620 The Zone on Twitter if you'd like to refer to that and what we're covering for you this weekend. But we are very, very full as this crossover season hits us. All right, let's take a break. We will be back after this on what radio station is this? 1620 The Zone.
He has the latest sports news, expert analysis, award-winning commentary, and a pocket full of cabbage.
Can you give us an indication why?
Just in case there's a sauerkraut emergency.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Josh, you were telling me this morning about all of the sports that were on during the day, and yet I didn't find anything. So we turned it to Freeform, where we found Boy Meets World.
Hell yeah.
That's what we got today. And then that reminded me of the banned episodes of Boy Meets World.
Too spicy for Disney.
Yeah, so there was one about underage drinking, I think.
Oh, okay.
Corey and Topanga break up, and Corey takes the bottle.
Goes on a bender.
Yeah. So that one got banned.
Oh, wow. Sad.
I don't know what happened in it. And then there was one where they Corey and Topanga decide to, they decide to get busy.
Well, they were married as college freshmen.
Yeah, but they banned that episode, apparently.
Giggity.
I guess so. I can't figure out what other. Reading through these articles and they don't tell me. Just give me the information, okay? All right. We're back. Welcome to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. You can join the VIP club and sign up for 1620 The Email. You'll be the first to know about all the exciting things that are happening here at 1620 The Zone. You'll get those schedules. Oh boy, I got an email this morning, Josh, and I really appreciated it. The subject line from 1620 The Zone was pretty nice little Saturday, and it had the graphics of what's going to be on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg this weekend and when. So that's important. 1620thezone.com. You can sign up today. And this is your last call to get in on Four Quarter Pick'em ever. Well, until next year. If you want to win $2,500 this week, sign up 1620thezone.com. Make all the picks. Get them all right, or get most of them right, and see where that lands for you.
Holly came in and picked up her check yesterday.
Yes.
Her favorite show on 1620 The Zone, The Connor Happer Show.
What a show! Hosted by Josh Hodson.
That's right.
What a show. All right. So we'll have our history lesson later, coming up in actually just a little bit. USC and Nebraska. There's some interesting names that'll pop up in our history lesson dive today that I always think it's fun to add some color to these games, these series that started so long ago. Nebraska 0-4-1 all time against USC, looking for their first win tomorrow. So we'll cover that. But the head coach of USC, Josh, is none other than Lincoln Riley. And then
I've heard this.
And then that one guy, Scott, calls in and he says, "Boo!" He is not happy.
Friend of the station, Michael Severe.
Michael Severe, he's of the station.
That's right.
He does
Sunday,
Severe Reaction.
8 to 10. Listen to it. It's a good show. And listen to his 25th anniversary podcast, wherever you get your podcasts or video. He responded to our video of Scott Wolf's thoughts on the team.
His thoughts.
Scott has always been one of the most straightforward college football guests, has never sugarcoated his USC information.
Definitely doesn't sugarcoat it.
That's right. Thank you, Michael.
He definitely doesn't sugarcoat it. Lincoln Riley is the coach of USC. And there have been some recent meetings, both between Nebraska teams and Lincoln Riley coach teams, and Lincoln Riley coach teams and Matt Rule coach teams. Just take you through a recent history here, Josh. We go back to 2021. This was of course, the 3-9 season for Nebraska, where every game was close.
Best 3-9 team in the country.
It really was. It was the best 3-9 team in the country, definitely. And this was at really the tail end of the Spencer Rattler run for Oklahoma. I think he had 2 more games after this before they ended up benching him for Caleb Williams, because he had that game against Texas, and what a wild game that was that year. So this is kind of right at the tail end of the Spencer Rattler run. Nebraska kept them down. It was kind of like the script of Nebraska, Colorado 2023. last year in Boulder, really for the first half. Nebraska wasn't turning it over at that high of a rate. In fact, they just threw one interception, but you might remember the one interception.
Was it demoralizing?
Yeah, because the guy reached up into outer space and one-handed Odell'd it as Nebraska was trying to drive down and score. It was an interception by Adrian Martinez. So Oklahoma led 73 at the half. Remember, Oklahoma blocked an extra point and took it back for 2 in that game. Nebraska was down 23-9, closed it to 23-16, and got the ball back with a minute left and no timeouts. And guess what happened?
Disaster.
Oh no, disaster is correct, Josh. Hello, Eric Collins.
Oh no! Disaster!
That's right. That's right. They got sacked twice, by the way, and basically ran out of time. And Nebraska had some bend but don't break to them that day, right? So just think of that as a through line here. Nebraska had some bend but don't break to them that day, and they kept a high-powered Lincoln Riley offense at bay, like swarmed, right? And after what had happened, because that was the week after the Illinois game to start the season, right? Maybe there was one game in between there. Let me make sure real quick so I can properly put this in context. Oh, no, Nebraska had played Illinois to start the season, Fordham and Buffalo, where you didn't learn anything about Nebraska in either of those 2 games.
Whoa.
But Nebraska had that horrible start against Illinois in week 0, where they had the safety and it was a disaster, right? They had to throw out half the playbook, right?
That's right.
So we were wondering about what they were, and this game was looked at as a nice step forward for Nebraska before they went and played Michigan State the next week, and could have, should have, would have won that game. Adrian Martinez broke his jaw, and Jaden Reed took back a punt, and we don't have to go through the entire season, but it was looked at as a step forward for that Nebraska team that year, where we weren't sure where the season was going to go. The 2019 Big 12 championship game featured Matt Rule's Baylor Bears against Lincoln Riley's Oklahoma Sooners. Sort of the same story. Baylor led 13-10 at the half. Oklahoma had some big plays in the passing game. Baylor just kind of hung in there. Game went to overtime, and Oklahoma won it in the 2019 Big 12 championship game.
What?
And then they played in the 2019 regular season as well. Baylor was crushing Oklahoma in this game, and they led by 2 touchdowns going into the fourth. I think it got up to 28-3 at one point. In favor, it was a raucous crowd. Oklahoma's top 10 team. They were visiting Baylor. It was kind of the middle of the season. Baylor led by 2 touchdowns going in the fourth quarter. Oklahoma scored 17 straight in the fourth to win. They led 28-3 at one point in the first half. They forced a bunch of Jalen Hurts turnovers, including one where I was watching highlights from this game last night. Jalen Hurts, I think it was 14-3 maybe at the time. So Oklahoma's trying to, come back, and they're kind of panicking a little bit. And Hurts tried to pirouette out of like a sack and kind of lost his balance a little bit and reached his hand down to catch his balance, but didn't remember that the ball was in his hand. Lost the ball. Baylor picked it up and then scored a couple plays later. And so that was a big letdown, I think, for Baylor that day, but had Oklahoma pretty well hemmed in for a majority of the game until things got loose a little bit in the second half, and especially in the fourth quarter for them. Oklahoma ended up winning that game 34-31. 2018 regular season, Oklahoma smashed them. This was early in Rule's second year, 66-33.
Whoa, hello.
2017 regular season, Rule's first year at Baylor. Baylor ended up going 1-11 that year and gave Oklahoma everything they could handle. This is a playoff-bound Oklahoma team. They fell short and lost 49-41. So Matt Rule never, unless you trace the history back further when they were both coordinators or whatever, but like in those 4 games, they met 4 times when they were both head coaches at Oklahoma and Baylor. Rule 0-4, but each of those games brought its own kind of flair to it. I guess with the exception of the 2018 game, the 2019 Big 12 championship game, and then the 2019. And remember, that's a Baylor team that won 11 games that year. Baylor had them beat really twice that season and couldn't quite finish the deal. So there's your history between those two. How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel any differently about this game this weekend? Does Matt Rule and company have the answers to a Lincoln Riley offense and a less supercharged Lincoln Riley offense than those offenses were at Oklahoma under Hurts, Rattler, whatever?
So Nebraska has never beaten USC.
Correct.
And Matt Rule has never beaten Lincoln Riley?
That is also correct. What do you think, Josh?
Well,
what does that do to your hype speech?
I mean, definitely pours some water on it.
Yeah, but Josh, you're the type of guy to look at that betting board and see that plus 250 and say, Papa likey.
Big plus.
Yeah.
Big plus.
Yeah.
Like, the Ravens were really fond of saying big trust back in the day. I'm big plus.
If you lose, nice. Not to be confused with Big 10 plus.
That's right. That's garbage.
Are you the type of guy that if, you're in a game of, I don't know why you'd be in this situation, but let's say you're in a situation where somebody comes up to you with a coin and they say, call it. They flip that coin.
Tails.
And you say tails. And then it's heads 7 times in a row. Do you still guess tails? Or do you change up your guesses?
Start dancing around?
Because when I'm at the blackjack table or when I'm at the roulette table, I always put money on black. I never put money on red. Because I know the one time I put money on red, it will be black. And then I'll never forgive myself. Yeah. The reason I ask is because all these things go against Nebraska. But if you hang in there long enough.
Some might say Nebraska and Matt Rule are due.
We're due for a tails. And we're due for a black on roulette.
That's right.
And we're due for a Matt Rule over Lincoln Riley at USC win.
All on the same
day.
Spin roll.
That
day.
was your bit in your hype speech a couple weeks ago. That Nebraska was getting off the schneid in like all these different categories.
That's right.
There's a lot of history, a lot of bad history.
Fully untether yourselves.
Maybe. Just maybe. I take some solace in these games have been pretty competitive. And it does seem like for long stretches of these games, Matt Rule does have the answers. Matt Rule coach teams have the answers.
And this is probably the worst Lincoln Riley team.
This is the worst Lincoln Riley team, yes.
Yeah.
This is the worst Lincoln Riley coach team.
To go up against Nebraska or Matt Rule, that is.
This is the worst Lincoln Riley coach team, period.
Ever?
Yeah, I mean, he's only been a head coach since 2017.
Oh, he's a child. That's right.
He's a tiny baby.
Got the baby part right.
One quick thing before we get to the odd news, Josh. Here is Amy Just.
Hi, Amy. Guest on Josh Peterson's podcast.
Oh, running. Yes.
Yeah.
Nebraska offensive coordinator Dana Holgerson
will
receive $66,667.
The devil's salary
for the month of November.
We're paying him $66,000 for half a month of work.
So what's that prorated out for a year?
Times 12.
$800,000.
Pretty decent.
$800,000 is like that. That's like the minimum you pay for an offensive coordinator, right? So he's still making that. He's still making that Houston Skrilla and getting fired.
It's a lot of Red Bull.
Yeah. Yep. 66 G's to coordinate this offense.
It's a lot of hotel dry cleaning.
People are going to be very, very angered to hear about this. They will not be happy.
That better come out of Matt Rule's salary.
$66,000. I wish I could do $66,000 and not do anything. We'll see if that's your opinion after Saturday. All right, we're coming back. Our history lesson is coming up at the top of the noon hour. But first, Josh has the odd news on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Got an email from Old Man Doug on the Equitable Bank inbox.
Hi, OMD.
Don't trigger me is the subject line.
Good start. Good rule of thumb.
With your pay talk is the body. I saw Doug at the Creighton game the other night. He just had a huge smile on his face.
I bet.
Yep. Game
was a blowout.
I was very happy. He was just looking at me, saying, "Hey, Happer," and then he had the big smile because that was the day I think he called in and was mad at me for talking about money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I get it. $66,000 though for 1 month.
That athletic department makes that much money by selling like 2 hoodies.
Kind of. Yeah. All right, Josh, odd news. What do we got?
Well, we go to the Eagles game yesterday.
Yeah. Tush push.
Yeah, that's right. Tush push.
They're doing some variants now. They're tossing it to Saquon, which is a good idea always.
Yeah. Lol Giants, am I right? With the Eagles defeating the Washington Commanders kicker, Jake Elliott's dreadful performance was
he missed a lot.
Let off the hook.
He missed the same every time. he just pulled him to the left and it would just hook over to the left. It's like, you're playing golf and you're hitting it like you feel like you're hitting it okay, but just for whatever reason it just hooks. And I can't figure out, like, I don't want to change my entire process. I don't want to break myself down because I'm clearly hitting it okay, but just hooking tough.
Well, somebody noticed, and this somebody had a line to Kirk Herbstreit and used that line. That somebody was Pat McAfee. He texted Kirk Herbstreit during the game, "We have better kicks with the kicking contest than what you're watching right now."
Wow. And Kirk relayed that message?
He did. He relayed it to the audience on Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. Andrew Whitworth and his hoodie.
The vegetable. Al Michaels.
That's
bad kicks.
That's the story?
They were bad kicks.
Okay.
Yes,
All
that's the story.
Good text, Pat McAfee.
Good text, yeah. Good sprinkling of color commentary.
Well
Kirk
done.
Herbstreit.
Well done.
But that's not the only story from yesterday's Eagles game. There was a local morning show outside at Lincoln Financial, the Link, as they call it. And they're doing their live hit. I'm here at the tailgate. It's just getting underway as the sun comes up. They talked to a fan who told the reporter, "I woke up at 2:50, couldn't even sleep. I was just so excited for football today. Yeah, go Birds." They then said, "Oh, thank you. Thanks for doing this." And the reporter sort of turns away and continues on with the story. The fan continues about his business behind, still in the shot, where he pulls out a flamethrower.
Flamethrower?
Flamethrower?
Like a torch?
Yeah, like a torch flamethrower to prep his pig roast in the bed of his truck. But
I gotta see this.
There's a guy with a flamethrower.
I gotta see
on Philly television.
Well, I mean, come on. They interviewed him right in front of his big grill.
Yeah, what did they think was going to happen?
And he's got his pickup truck. He's ready to, it looks like possibly an electric pickup truck. Good for him.
A lib truck. In Philly.
He's got his grill. He's got his Eagles bucket hat on. He's got maybe like a Brian Dawkins jersey or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's ready to roll. Yeah, I got no problem with. Oh, he's got a green beard also.
A green beard,
for the record.
That's not the natural color of a beard.
That's right. He has painted this beard.
Interesting.
I like the torch though. I do like using those. If ever I get the opportunity to, take a torch, I'm I'm going to use it.
Eagles fans are riding high right now. Boy, hope that coach and quarterback combination doesn't come back to bite them in the ass.
What are you saying, Josh?
I'm just saying that team is a house of cards, and the slightest
I don't really buy them either.
Bit of disposition might have it crumbling to the ground.
I don't know that I buy them that much in the same way that I don't usually buy like Iowa, right? You should, because they clearly have their formula to winning football games. Mm-hmm. It's not boring, or it's not exciting. It is boring, but it does win. So I don't know.
They might be the second or third best team in the NFC.
That's weird.
But I don't buy it.
Weird.
Right? Finally, we go to California, where 4 people have been arrested for insurance fraud, claiming a bear damaged their car.
Classic.
But the insurance company found that it was, in fact, not a bear. It was a person dressed like a bear.
Oh. Wow, they actually executed the let's go get a bear suit and have this person rip up this car.
That's right.
Pretend it was a bear. You probably didn't need to go to those lengths.
Right. All suspects were L.A. residents, according to a statement released yesterday afternoon. The suspects vary in age from 26 to 39. All 4 were charged with conspiracy and insurance fraud. Suspects claim that on January 28th, a bear entered their 2010 Rolls-Royce Ghost, and caused interior damage, according to the Department of Insurance. They provided video footage of the incident, stating that it had occurred during their visit to Lake Arrowhead.
That's what you don't do.
Yeah.
They don't require video footage. You're adding that for bonus.
Here, pick this apart. Upon reviewing the footage, the Department of Insurance said it suspected fraud. Officials said that they believed right away that the bear in question was a person in a bear costume.
Has the video been published?
I believe it has. You'll have to look. I didn't dig that deep for it. Initiating an investigation named Operation Bear Claw, the department learned that the 2 other claims that had been filed to different insurance companies with similar details, same location, and the same date. Similar to the claim that originally drew the unit's attention, the 2 other reports stated that a bear had attacked their cars, both Mercedes, according to the statement.
Why are they messing up their cars?
Yes.
They just want new cars, I guess.
Maybe.
Or new interior of their cars.
The department said it sought an outside opinion on the case before making a final determination. Investigators reached out to a biologist from the California Department of Wildlife, who independently reviewed the evidence for Operation Bear Claw.
Oh my God, I'm watching the video right now. So it is a like, looks like a ring camera or something.
Uh-huh.
And it's in the dark, so it's like kind of black and white. And it is extremely clearly a person in a bear suit.
I believe I saw a picture. It looked like instead of ripping it up with their hands,
they had like
the barbecue claw tongue, like you pull pork with.
Yeah.
Like it looked like they used those things. The biologist ruled.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Quote, "This is clearly a human in a bear suit," according to the statement.
It is.
Authorities were able to execute a search warrant for the people involved in the alleged insurance fraud scheme.
Yeah.
At the time of the arrest, officials reported the insurance companies had already paid out a $141,000.
Wow. Wow. I mean, nice try. Do we give them a nice try?
They clearly thought not of everything, but
they just, I think it was an execution problem.
Yeah.
I think it's an execution problem.
You got to AI a bear in there or something.
Josh, thank you.
Thank you, Connor.
Careful out there.
That's right.
Might have a bear break into your car and take those pulled pork forks to your interior. All right, we'll be back. It's Friday, noon. Time for our history lesson. Nebraska and USC, a series that dates back to 1969.
Nice.
A couple very important games in here. Notable games. There's only been 5 ever, and they're all pretty memorable. Nebraska has won none of them. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Lunchtime with Connor Happer and Josh Hodson.
It's the midday meltdown.
It's the lunch crunch bunch here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Coming up, we'll have our keys to the game and our picks for the weekend. And Josh's hype audio. Hype bit, I guess we're calling it, right?
That's right.
Hype bit. Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour.
Get you a little dose of adrenaline.
Our
through the day.
Our dear friend Steven M Sipple will join us at the bottom of this hour.
Got to be careful here.
But as we usually do before a game, we look back at the history.
One of my favorite things we've been doing in the back half of the football
I don't
season.
know. It just kind of popped up.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's you just have to put the things in there. The segment idea already exists. So you just have to put the things in there. So it's kind of nice. Nebraska and USC, a history lesson, the University of Southern California, a series that dates back to September 20th, 1969.
Nice.
Nebraska 0-4-1.
Damn it.
All time against the USC Trojans. USC is the only active team that Nebraska has played more than once and never beaten.
That's fascinating.
USC is the only active team that Nebraska has played more than once and never beaten. Here are the teams it has never beaten.
Ooh.
And have played at least once. Stanford, 0-1.
Oh.
Georgia Tech, 0-1. Duke, 0-1.
A lot of ACC teams in here.
Houston, 0-1. BYU, 0-1. USC, 0-4-1. Ole Miss, 0-1.
Oh, Eli.
Arkansas, 0-1. And finally, Georgia Southern, 0-1. Thank you, Scotty. One last shot. Also, non-active teams that they also have not beaten.
Okay, this will be the good one. Okay.
Baker, 0-1, by the way, against Baker. They tied Baker.
How about Candlestick Maker?
Or what about Butcher?
Yes.
St. Louis, the Billikens, 0-1.
Rick Majerus.
Yeah, Rick Majerus. I think he was coaching them. Iowa Navy pre-flight.
Top Gun had a football team?
0-1. Carlisle Indian School.
Nope.
You don't have a comment on that?
I do not.
0-1.
I don't have a funny quip.
Camp Dodge. 0-1. They lost to a summer camp. And
that was a Scott Frost game, wasn't it?
And Butte, as in Montana, AC. I don't know what the A stands for. I assume C stands for college.
All right. What was their mascot?
Butte AC. They are 0-2 against Butte AC.
The Wildcats, of course.
Wildcat. What year did those games take place in? Do you know off the top of your, or are you on the Wikipedia page right now?
I do not know.
What a great resource, by the way, for
1895.
1895. Yeah, that's Butte. All right, so there you go. Nebraska has a chance at history tomorrow. Are you interested now?
Very.
All right, so we go back. We usually take a closer look at the first time that these two schools plays. We've talked a lot about the 20s recently. I mean, we had the Rutgers game in the 20s. We had the Indiana game, I think, in the 20s as well. This one is the late 60s, 1969. It was the season opener for both Nebraska and USC, and the date of the game was September 20th, which I found fun. You know, remember when school used to start real late? Nebraska's second leading rusher in that game, who was noted because he popped a big run in the game, Larry Frost, the father of one Scott Frost.
Papa Frost.
44 carries on 44 yards on 5 carries in that game. I think the run he had was like a 36-yard run. USC's opener in 1969 was USC's first game in the post-O.J. Simpson era. O.J. was coming off of his Heisman season in 68. Got second in the Heisman in 67. Did you know that O.J. Simpson played junior college football?
I did.
Yeah. So he was just 2 years at USC, 67, 68. Won the Heisman in 68. And then
JUCO doesn't really claim him either.
Do they still have his number retired? I think they I don't think you can can you unretire numbers? I don't think you can just erase that. I'm pretty sure.
I think you can maybe like literally take it off the wall, but
I mean, you can take it off the wall, but like, you don't want to make a big deal out of it. You just kind of, I just think you probably just don't mention it a lot.
Right.
That's all.
USC announces it will retire number 13 in honor of Caleb Williams.
Really?
So it must be you win a Heisman, you get your number retired.
I guess so. So that was their season opener in the first game without O.J. Simpson at running back, and that was a big focus of the old articles that I was reading. Like, okay, who's going to take over for O.J. Simpson?
Sure.
The 1969 Huskers bounced back from back-to-back 6-4 seasons under Bob Devaney, and they ended up going 9-2 in this year. Of course, the Huskers went on to win back-to-back national championships in 70 and 71. So this is right before the golden, era, which basically started in 70 and ended in 1997. 1970, they meet in week 2, and this is a huge game. It's 2 top 10 teams. USC is number 4. Nebraska, I believe, is number 9. And there was the kind of storyline going into it was like, okay, how real is Nebraska? They met in week 2. Nebraska was coming off of a win against Wake Forest in week 1, and USC was coming off of a historic all-time college football game against Alabama the week before, which is now known as the turning of the tide game, where USC had their fully integrated team and an all-black backfield. And Alabama was not that way, right? And so I was reading a couple historical sort of articles last night, and I pulled one quote from it. Many also claim that the game single-handedly. This is an Alabama USC aside now. Many also claim that the game single-handedly convinced Paul Bear Bryant to recruit black players. But Alabama had already recruited Wilbur Jackson, a black running back, at the time of the game. However, as a freshman at the time of the 1970 Alabama-USC game, Jackson was not allowed to play, and instead he watched from the stands. USC won that game against Alabama, and many say that it changed college football forever because of what I just mentioned. It convinced coaches. It's like, oh, we can do this. There's the famous line, I think, there where Bear Bryant goes in afterwards into the locker, or maybe pulls one of the USC backs aside, and he said, "This is a football player," right? Instead of viewing it as black guy, white guy.
Sure.
So a lot happening coming off of week 1 in 1970, and then USC plays in an historic all-timer in week 2 against Nebraska back at the Coliseum. It ended in a 21-21 tie in a game that many refer to as one of the most important games of the decade. It was.
Oh, really?
I mean, Nebraska, obviously, it was their one loss or tie that entire year en route to winning a national championship. The Huskers, and they got a big day, a huge run from Joe Arduino, who put the game. Nebraska got up by a touchdown, 21-14. USC ended up coming back and tying it. And John Robinson said afterwards that or John Robinson or McKay, I can't remember which one it was, but I was reading these stories last night, said afterwards, well, if we would have scored that tying touchdown within the last 5 minutes of the game, we would have probably went for 2 to try to win or lose the football game. It didn't happen that way. It was kind of just a stalemate for the last 7-8 minutes of the game. The Huskers proved to everybody that they were real that day to really begin their 1970 national championship campaign.
And then really beat the hell out of everybody down the stretch.
Yep. So much so, they proved to everybody that they were real, that they got a visit in the locker room afterwards from famous comedian Bill Cosby.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Cosby.
I wonder what he talked about.
Well, I could tell you one.
Oh.
Bill Cosby was quoted afterwards in the Lincoln Star. Quote, "It was a great game. I'd like to have number 20 and number 30 come out and meet us in the alley." He wanted to talk to Johnny Rodgers and Joe Orduna.
Oh, that's what that means?
Yeah, I think. Not like he didn't want to fight him.
That's what it sounded like.
I don't think he wanted to fight him.
It seems like a stupid venture, yes.
No, I no. I think he wanted to come out. He wanted them to come out and say hello.
Is there an alley behind the Coliseum?
It must be like he must be talking about like the tunnel. You know?
Oh, okay.
Come out, meet me in the alley. It does sound a little nefarious, maybe, but
I'll give him a pudding pop.
That was the one. That was the one quote from Cosby. And it just seemed like a passing by kind of like I don't know why he said that to the Journal-Star. It just seems like he said that out loud, and the Journal-Star quoted him, or it was the Star at the time.
Did he say that to El Kent?
It wasn't El Kent. No,
he covered the opposing locker room for years and years and years.
It wasn't. He still does, I believe. I don't think it wasn't El Kent.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, I'd like to have Johnny Rodgers and Joe Orduna come out and meet us in the alley. So Nebraska went 0-1-1 against USC in 69 and 70. And Nebraska has their many decades of dominance, and then they don't meet again until 2006.
Interesting. USC didn't want any when Nebraska was up.
Yeah, by the way, on those early games, TC writes in, he says Sam Bam Cunningham was the guy in that game, and that was, I believe that was the guy that Paul Bryant brought up, and it was like, hey, look, this is a football player. Bam Cunningham ran for 135 and 2 touchdowns in that game. Alabama assistant coach Jerry Claiborne summed up Cunningham's achievement when he remarked, quote, "Sam Cunningham did more to integrate Alabama in 60 minutes than Martin Luther King did in 20 years.
Whoa.
That's an awesome quote.
Yeah.
It's an awesome quote. Quotes were more meaningful back then.
They really were. Poll question, were quotes more meaningful back then?
Yeah, I think so. So these are two storied programs who don't really get together much, but have crossed paths at interesting times. And that happens again in 2006, where USC is very recently coming off of its epic, one of the most epic college football games of all time, in the 2005 Rose Bowl against Texas, where they lose, and Vince Young, jumps into the end zone, and Texas
SEC Classic.
USC was never in the SEC, I don't think. But
Texas is.
You could find it on the SEC. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So then they meet again in 2006, and famously, the storyline from that game is that Bill Callahan was just trying not to get blown out, which everybody could kind of see through that, even in the moment, even according to some of the commentary from our favorite, the Husker Max page.
I don't know. Mission accomplished?
28-10. Everyone knew it.
Right on the fringe.
Everyone knew it. Everyone knew exactly what they were doing. Tom Chattel after the game, quote, Nebraska, better, but not yet ready for ABC primetime. Says who? Says Coach Bill Callahan's game plan. Lee Barfneck.
Lee.
Why did Callahan and company play so safe, especially with a veteran quarterback he expresses love for? Why? Probably because he knew that they were going to get absolutely stroked.
Kirk Herbstreit worked that game.
Yeah. Yes.
Brent Musburger.
Zach Taylor in the game, coming off of his, well, I guess this would have been the Big 12 player of the year, offensive player of the year, right? He was 8 of 16 for 115 yards. Didn't do much. Didn't try much.
Yeah.
John David Booty, 25 of 36 for 257 yards in the game.
The Booty Man.
The Booty Man. They were calling him that, Josh. The Booty Man.
They were.
Then they meet again in 2007. USC comes to Lincoln. College game day is in town. Nebraska is hanging around for a while USC ripped off 35 straight points in the second and third quarters to claim a 49-31 victory in that game. I remember being a high schooler going to college game day that morning.
How'd that work out for you?
It was great.
Oh, okay.
I got a picture with they would bring around the crystal ball trophy, and they would have it on display. I think they had it on display at the now gone Ed Weir track out there where Nebraska's new facility is now, and they would have tents set up out there, and they brought along the crystal ball trophy. Me and my friend got a picture with the crystal ball trophy.
Oh,
I thought that was awesome. Would you like to hear any commentary from that game, 2007?
I'd like to give a little commentary on that season.
Sure.
Nebraska had 2 games on pay-per-view that season. 1 game on Versus.
Oh yeah. There's still like 1 or 2 more of those.
Yeah.
Until it gets, real.
Looks like maybe they had 2 games that weren't on television.
I'm sure they were on pay-per-view.
I'm sure, but not listed.
Steven M Sipple, who will join us in a moment. So Nebraska still awaits its breakthrough win. I thought this might be the Huskers' big chance. I really did.
I really did.
Lee Barfnick. So in year 4 of the Callahan experiment, it's not the Callahan era yet, despite his 2-year contract extension. I love that. Where should the bar be set? Man, we had really high expectations for Nebraska football back in those days, huh?
Sure did.
Gosh, crazy.
Sam tweets in.
Sam!
Waterworld was on Fox that night. I flipped over halfway through the second quarter.
the 06 game or the 07 game? Probably the 07 game, and they're getting run out of the building, basically.
This is 07, yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
I was at a wedding for one of those 2. I don't remember which one. It was the game day one.
Yeah, 07.
Yeah.
At home.
There was a storm of some kind.
Really?
We had to go to...
I mean, that makes sense.
We had to go to the basement, which was like the weight room of the gym in the hotel. It was weird.
Is this in Omaha?
Yeah. Everybody just wanted to watch the game. So we were
as is tradition,
huddled around a very tiny TV.
That was a different time. And then they didn't play again until they met in the 2014 Holiday Bowl.
We love the Holiday Bowl, don't we, folks?
Bo Pelini had been fired. And Tim Beck said, I'm chucking this thing. And boy, did he ever.
And now he's saying, I'm chugging this thing.
Sammy Armstrong, 32 of 51. 381 yards in the game. Some commentary from the Holiday Bowl as the era comes to an end. Mike Riley was hired at the time, but it wasn't his staff that was coaching the game. But he did, I believe, join the broadcast that night.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then
I believe you.
If I remember that correctly, he joined the broadcast that night, and then he was later, a couple weeks later, on the national championship supercast, whatever, with all the coaches.
Okay.
And that was funny. I remember people watching that pretty intently. Steve Sipple writes, Nebraska didn't lose this game for a lack of effort or lack of heart. Tom Chattel writes, mostly they went out swinging. Did you expect anything less? Sean Callahan writes, to mentally have this team prepared on a Saturday says a lot about the coaching staff and the job they did. So we were now 3 to 4 weeks removed from Bo actually getting fired and the audio tape and all that stuff. And we were fully back to, man, this was just a great, end, an emblematic end to the Bo era, right? They fought, and ultimately they just probably weren't good enough at the end of the day. And that's okay. So let's move on to what's next. Unfortunately, what was next was basically what started this current era of Nebraska football.
Oh, no.
That we have not yet dug our way out of. Starting in really 2015, Nebraska's had just one winning season since.
Okay, a couple of times Nebraska and USC have met, and a changing of the guard has happened.
Really?
the one in the 70s that you mentioned.
Yep. Turning of the Tide game.
The Holiday Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
What if tomorrow was a changing of the guard?
It kind of is if you believe in offensive coordinator changing of the guards.
Yeah. I love a changing of the guard.
These games seem to happen at interesting moments.
They do.
Don't they? But they're at the same time, that makes sense because they're always something interesting going on with these two teams.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
These two teams are rarely quiet.
There's always something going on. Mm-hmm. And it usually has something to do with dysfunction.
Not in Nebraska.
What about at USC?
Oh, yeah. They're a mess over there.
Remember Clay Elton?
Oh, yeah.
They were going to fire him for like 14 straight years. Yeah. Then they finally did after a good season, right?
We just fixed the glitch.
Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
Did you guys mention the sanctions that just happened to be put on USC today? Well, yeah, speaking of dysfunction, that is a nothing. I mean, it's a giant nothing burger, but it's funny. It's a funny storyline.
Both schools have been punished for
having improper use of analysts.
Yeah.
That's right. Handshake meme.
Scott Frost still has to serve that suspension.
Sam also writes the Supercast got us this gem, the Mike Riley pointing at the and licking his. Yeah, that was that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good gift.
That was from that night.
Because like his tongue is kind of out.
Yeah. That is basically the only Mike Riley gif we ever got. The other one, I guess, was him doing the BTN promo where he has a balloon in his hand and he just lets it go. You remember that one?
I don't.
That's a good one. Nebraska and USC, a history lesson. More history to be made in this series tomorrow afternoon. Jason Benetti and Brock Heward on the call. Love me some Benetti.
Yeah, it's going to be good. What not yet disgraced human being will talk to the Nebraska team after the game?
Will make an appearance. I don't know. I don't think the celebs are coming by. I don't think the celebs are coming by.
Not for two middling teams right now.
No. They're all holed up. They're sad about some events recently.
Oh, yeah? Something not go?
They're not going out of their
Something
houses.
not go their way?
They're not going out there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve Sipple will join the show next. I think. We'll see what's going on with Sip.
We're going to try our damnedest.
Is he enjoying a taco today? We'll find out.
Connor, I went to a truck. Have you ever bought food off a truck?
It was the most amazing thing. It just had the best tacos you could imagine.
So much character.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple.
Hey! The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha! Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
It's time for our weekly catch-up with our dear friend, Steven M Sipple of HuskerOnline.com, live from beautiful, sunny Los Angeles. Sipple, good morning out there. How are you?
Happer, I'm fine. How are you guys doing? Are you in the studio?
Yeah, we're here. Everything is very normal here. Your surroundings are not normal there, it appears.
It's pretty normal, actually. If you get down to we're at the airport Marriott, so it's not like we're in Tijuana. It's pretty normal.
Did you have to take an Uber to get to the hotel, or was there a shuttle service?
No shuttle. I mean, you could almost it's one thing I'll try to be informative. You could almost walk from the LA Marriott to the gate that we were at anyway. You could literally walk if you had to.
Wow.
It wouldn't be a great imposition to do so.
Wow, that's great. That's very convenient. And then the Coliseum is how far away from there?
No clue. No idea. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I don't have a great sense of where I'm at we just got in. I mean, I just literally put my stuff down in the hotel.
Wow, perfect timing. So you have not eaten any food or anything like that yet?
No. I mean, I got some Planters nuts, and that's it. No, we're just literally putting
about 15
stuff
miles
down.
away.
I think is that right? Is that 18 miles away from the Coliseum?
15 miles, 25 minutes, it says.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, no, I'm just kind of getting acclimated right now.
Okay, well, all right. That's so it's been an uneventful morning for you, pretty much.
Yeah, the flights were all good. It's perfect. Yeah, I mean, people always tell me that these nightmares about LAX. It was like flying into Grand Island. It was no problem.
That's a poll question. Yeah, is flying into LAX a lot like flying into Grand Island? That's gonna go up there here in just a second. All right, so let's talk some football. As it's a big game tomorrow. What has been the reaction this week that you've heard from various different places about what Dana Holgorsen can bring to the table immediately?
A lot. I mean, I've heard a lot of different. I mean, you could go the scheme X's and O's direction, or just that kind of an overall concept direction. I mean, the thing that's made the most sense to me, Connor, is just the notion of getting Dylan in a rhythm early, which if you look back, I don't think they did a lot of this idea of throwing some short passes, short routes, whipping it to one sideline, then whipping it to the other, and then maybe hitting, a tight end on a short route. Just get him going. 4 for 4 for 50, something like that. 5 for 5 for 60. And then work down the field. Now people are going to say, oh, okay, that's wonderful. What about the running game? But I mean, I believe that they should lean on it pretty hard against USC. Now, I don't know if that's what you'll see.
I'll take yards and efficiency any way they can get them, Sipple.
I suppose, yeah. I think the best bet against this sort of smallish defensive front is to hammer it, with Dowdell specifically. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's exactly what they'll do. It's never that simple anyway. But as far as Holgorsen goes, you'll see it. You guys that watch all these games all the time, you'll be able to see different formations and a different approach. There'll be things that probably jump out at us. So, now how much of it, I don't know. How much can the kids learn? How much can they digest in that amount of time, leading up to a game with him just kind of on hand for a week plus? That's the question.
Rule said yesterday the transition has been seamless. I mean, like in order for that to be the case, there has to be a real an acceptance and a readiness to sort of turn the page to a new thing from everybody in that locker room. Do you feel as if Nebraska's had that sort of approach, like they're ready to sort of embrace this different thing for the last couple weeks of the season and beyond?
I don't know. It seems like it. I mean, I'm like you. I'm like everybody else, the media, that I talk to people, and it sounds like they've had good practices. A little feisty, some chippiness in the practices this week, which is probably a good sign. As far as what Rule said, he's not going to tell us it's a mess.
Right.
If he stood up there on Thursday and said, this has just been basically a mess, and I don't know what it's going to look like when they hit the field. He can't do that. So you take what he says with a grain of salt when he talks about it being seamless. But it sounds like it's, I think they had a good week of practice. So I'm interested. I don't expect it to automatically be an offense that doesn't have seemingly multiple breakdowns at key moments, which it has been. It's been that type of offense. I don't know. I'm open-minded, and maybe we see Nebraska put together 4 quarters. Maybe we see Nebraska play well in all 3 phases. That would be sort of a novel experience. We haven't seen it, but it's late in the season. Why not now?
What is how would you characterize Dylan Raiola's last, since we last saw him against UCLA, since he left the game? There's the injury thing that's sort of been hanging over the last couple of weeks. Rule said he practiced and he's kind of good to go. And now we have the offensive coordinator change. It's kind of been a wild couple of weeks when you put it from his perspective as well.
I guess wild, yeah. Maybe wild would apply. He's got a new coach of the offense. I don't think the injury's been a big concern. That's my interpretation of it from what I know. I've had people ask me on this trip, is Dylan going to play? I'm like, I've never really thought he wasn't going to play. I guess Rule said that he expressed some doubt, but I never really thought there was much doubt. I think there's a sort of an excitement for Dylan to have Dana Holgorsen here because of his background and because of his charismatic approach and because of what he knows. And I hope what Dylan and the rest of the offense feels is a sense of maybe a new sense of optimism. I don't know though. It's a really tricky dynamic.
Why do you think? Why do you think Dana Holgorsen felt like this was a good opportunity for him? Because Rule mentioned it. Yeah, that's a good answer. But from the perspective of Rule said he's going to come here and then we'll see how it looks. And then immediately it was like, oh yeah, he felt like he could call plays and do this thing. Like I felt like that was a kind of a vote of confidence for Nebraska's personnel. Like to your point just there.
Yeah, I got to think it's mostly Dylan. I mean, because Nebraska's not loaded with great personnel. I know if Rule were listening to your show, he'd be fairly upset to hear someone say that. But I know they're not. I mean, I try to be real about this stuff, Connor. There's no first team All Big Ten players or second team All Big Ten players or third team All Big Ten players on Nebraska's offense, unless it's Ben Scott maybe or Ben Hart maybe. So no, I don't know if Dana Holgorsen came in here and said, "Whoa, what a loaded offense." No, I doubt it. I very much doubt that. But it does have a good quarterback, and maybe he sees some things they can get going. It's not bad personnel, but I mean, we got to kind of quit kidding ourselves into thinking this is. Some of these guys, what we thought were going to be better than they are.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think they could have gotten way. They should have gotten way more out of like if we're specifically talking about the wide receivers and those two guys. I mean, obviously they're maybe not, they're not as game changing as maybe we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year, but I still think Nebraska's left a lot on the table with them just in terms of what they're doing and play calling and all that stuff. Like I wouldn't be surprised if those guys had a really nice finish to their season.
I'd agree with you to a point, only to a point, though. I mean, they have to perform. I mean, it's always kind of funny when we say they got to get more out of them. No, those players have to get more out of themselves. Okay, when you get off the line of scrimmage and you're if you can't get off the line of scrimmage at 6'4", 220, it's just a want-to. I mean, if you're not blocking on the perimeter, I mean, it's just, come on. I mean, that's not. You got to do it. You got to want to do it. So those guys are making $200K. I mean, I don't want to absolve them all the time and just point to a coach and say, why can't you get more out of them? They should get more out of themselves. They're 22, 23 years old. They could be criticized. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, it's definitely, in my opinion, it's some of both.
Why do we absolve the players? I never understand that.
I'm not trying to absolve them. I just think that Nebraska, the way the slog which they've self-imposed on themselves this year is kind of unnecessary. Like, I think one of the things that Dana brings to the table is that there's going to be some urgency there, and they, quick throws. You mentioned that, like, there's ways to kind of jumpstart this thing, and Nebraska hasn't really taken that route so far this year, it seems.
I hope. I mean, it's possible. That's why you're doing it, or that's why Rule's doing it. I mean, it's it's sort of a desperate situation. I mean, his back's the program's back's against the wall a little bit here. They're in a fix, and they got to get out of it. I've been saying all week it's like Marty Bird and Wendy Bird. I mean, they're on Ozark. They're rules in sort of a jackpot right now, and he's got to find his way out of it. And in hiring a Holgorsen makes sense, but it guarantees nothing. I mean, that's the thing. There's no guarantees, as we've learned.
How do you feel about their chances? Not just tomorrow, but in the last 3 games. I mean, I guess how much are we going to find out tomorrow about the last 3 games of the season?
I mean, I've heard practices have been good. It's a lot of it's about that. A lot of it's about the degree of want to on both ends. Which team kind of wants it more, right? I mean, that's a lot of what this game's about. What's you always hear John Cook talk about the why. Whose why is stronger? That's who wants it. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see a little more of that from Nebraska. And maybe we begin to see that tomorrow. But in what will you see from USC? It's the same. It's kind of the same conversation. How much do they want it? They're not. USC thinks of itself as a program that can make the college football playoff. They're out of that.
Right.
I mean, it's not a big deal for USC to play its way into the Music City Bowl. That's a big thing I would think it would be a big thing for Nebraska, but Happer, come on, has Nebraska played like it's a big thing? I kind of want to see it.
Yeah. What do you have planned for the rest of the day?
We're going to do I need to tell you this?
You don't have to if you don't want to, but it seems like you kind of want to. I think you should.
We're going to a place in Beverly Hills called Mastro's. Steakhouse.
Yeah, you are. What are you wearing to that?
That's a good question. It is a good question. In fact, I don't even want to answer it.
Paparazzi are going to be all over you tonight.
I'm not properly attired for it, so there's some stress involved. But I got some time to shop, so I'll probably have to.
Yeah, you're going to have to make a stop at a Men's Warehouse or something like that.
There was some debate about whether you can wear tennis shoes in there, and my feeling is, why not? You don't think like Woody Harrelson would walk in with jeans and Adidas on?
Why not? Because they said so. It's their rules.
No, they didn't say so. It was Sean that said that.
Oh, well,
no,
okay.
There's no say so. It just says no gym clothes.
Okay.
Like no workout attire.
So Sean just doesn't want to be associated with the schlubs, walking in.
I don't know about that either. He just mentioned something like, you're not going to wear those shoes, are you? I'm like, I don't know. They're not that bad. Adidas.
So you're going to have to go get some new shoes today?
Possible.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Let me know. I've been telling people who are out there to text me pictures of the food that they eat. If you stop by a taco truck, let me know.
I'm not doing that.
Why?
Because I don't do that.
You could, though.
I find it obnoxious, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, but I'm requesting it. I'll
tell you. I'll send you how about I send you just a text?
That's fine. By the way, the prices look reasonable here. It doesn't look.
Scroll further.
Oh, really?
I thought the same thing, and then I scrolled.
Are you interested in any of the Wagyu? You know, the Australian or Japanese A5 Wagyu?
No, I think don't you? A lot of people abide by the kind of the guideline. If you're on the coast, eat seafood, which that's what I'm going to do.
Okay. You could go with the Bering Sea king crab legs. That's market price, though. You know they don't.
No, I'm not talking about. In fact, it's funny you said that because I told Sean I'm going seafood, but I'm not going to get like lobster or crab legs or anything like that.
So you're going with the Chilean sea bass, $57.
Ooh.
Okay, that sounds good. That's more like it.
Sipple, we have a listener on Twitter who says get the butter cake.
Oh God, yeah, I've heard. You know what? I've heard that from about 3 different sources now.
Huh?
The butter cake is apparently somewhat famous.
Also, we have another listener who's saying that they don't think that there is a Men's Warehouse on Rodeo Drive. So
I just need I don't know, just something brown for my feet.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck. Have a great rest of your day. You have the whole day in front of you.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
All right. See you later.
See you later.
Steve Sipple, HuskerOnline.com.
I love playing around with the idea that Sipple likens himself to Woody Harrelson.
Come on, if Woody Harrelson walked in there, they wouldn't tell him to take his Adidas off. No, they wouldn't, but I get it. You want to walk around like you know what you're doing.
Sure.
And so if you're Sean Callahan and you're dressed like you know what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
You want your guy to know what
absolutely
like he knows what he's doing too.
Totally
just dragging him along.
From both sides, both perspectives, I get it.
Get the butter cake, people are saying.
I Googled Maestro butter cake, and there were a bunch of like, hey, do you want to make a Maestro butter cake at home? Here's how.
Do they have like a shipped option for $100? For
no,
like
there's
plate
just a
of
bunch of knockoffs.
White cheddar lobster mac and cheese, $40 for a side.
$40 for mac and cheese.
Hell yeah, baby. This actually isn't that bad.
No, there's reasonable options for eating in Beverly Hills, like a rube like myself. Like, I don't know. I imagine everything is $100.
It looked like they found a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
All right. Also, Sipple. We're fired up there. That's good.
Blame the players. The players suck.
We could talk about that for a couple minutes. Because while there's pieces of that is true, I'm not trying to make Nebraska's players out to be, all-American caliber, but Nebraska should be getting more from those. If we're specifically talking about those 2 wide receivers, Banks and Nair.
Boy, it sure seemed like at the beginning of the season we thought we'd get more.
Yeah, and like what we're doing is we're parsing through whose fault it is. I just watched Nebraska operate, and I'm like, this is not a friendly environment for them to be operating in at the moment. And so, there's a little bit of blame that goes everywhere. But keep in mind, Nebraska made an offensive coordinator change that basically said, well, this was a problem. All right. They're going to have a really good play caller tomorrow. He might not be at his full peak of his powers because he just got here, but Nebraska has like a legitimate, renowned play caller tomorrow. That makes a difference, regardless of the personnel. There are great coaches all across the country, So we could talk about that for a few more minutes when we come back. We have our keys and P's at the top of the hour. We'll take thoughts from you all. What might you get at Mastro's in Beverly Hills? We'll come back with more next on 1620 The Zone. Always great to chat with our dear friend, Steven M Sipple.
It really is.
And the M stands for Mastros. Because that's where he's getting Chilean sea bass tonight. Greg in Myrtle Beach chimes in.
Hi, Greg.
Mastros Malibu. Excellent oysters Rockefeller. And the finest caviar on the West Coast.
Wow.
That's
probably saying something.
I would pay a lot of money to see Steven M. Sipple eat caviar. A lot. I would like to watch it. I would like to see how he does that. I need Sean and Robin to create content out of this.
Oh, dress code.
Is that on the menu somewhere?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Mastros enforces a strict upscale dress code. We do not allow beachwear, gym attire, including sweatpants, sweatshirts, or hoodies. Athletic apparel, jerseys, hats, beanies, bandanas, ball caps, oversized or baggy clothing, tank tops, and sleeveless shirts are prohibited. No excessively revealing clothing will be allowed. Clothing emitting offensive odors is not permitted to be worn anywhere on the property.
Say what you want about my guy, but he doesn't smell.
That's right.
He don't smell. Wow. Admittance to Mastros is at the discretion of management, who reserves the right to refuse service to patrons who are inappropriately dressed, regardless of reservation status. Speaking of, we get a text from Pedro.
Hi, Pedro.
Hi, guys. Is Sipple the male pretty woman? Thoughts?
Steven M. Sipple does not kiss on the mouth. I've been told this.
So I don't know. I'm not sure what he's planning, but it maybe seems a little more serious than he thought it was.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. He's gonna have to go get one of them. What do you call them? Polos.
Polo. a brown shoe.
That's all I need. Oh, what a guy. But I don't know. I don't know about his take about the whole. Why can't we criticize the players? Dylan Raio's got to make throws. Wide receivers got to get off blocks. They have to get open. But I'm telling you, like I think it's different things at different times. It's not that they're incapable of doing it, right? If you're telling me that Nebraska doesn't have the talent to do some of the things, like to get yards, to be efficient, right? You're telling me that these guys are incapable of it. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Players with teams with less talent nationwide do things against the teams that Nebraska is playing.
Definitely.
Nebraska makes it look so difficult. I think they have adequate enough players. I mean, gosh, they have a quarterback who could do whatever. He can make any throw. He struggles sometimes. He has inconsistencies, but he can make all the throws generally. And I do think it's been a rough season for Banks and Nair. But I just think there's more there. And yeah, they probably have to give some. They got to meet Dana Holgorsen halfway. But I think Dana can meet them closer to where Marcus Satterfield was meeting them. I really do.
I mean,
he is a hell of a play caller.
If you're listening to this, don't confuse what we're saying. I'm sure a lot of people will. We're not saying they have the talent to beat Georgia or win the national championship. We're saying they have the talent to be better than they are, as
that's it,
constituted by their record.
All I ever want in any season is to try to evaluate where your talent is and figure out if at the end of the year you got the most out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a true sign of coaching.
They flatly have not gotten that this year.
Matt Rule's talked about it this year. He's like, people come up to me and they tell me, man, it must be killing you right now for your team to be this inconsistent. And when he hears that from people, he's like, that I'm not doing my job. If that's the case, I'm not doing my job, because it doesn't matter what level of talent you have. We should know what you are. We should know what you're trying to do. We don't know that,
yes.
Right? Like, you could be whatever level of football you want to talk about. If any team has their ceiling based on their talent level relative to the competition. And Nebraska is just frankly not close to that ceiling right now. And that's why Matt Rule made a change. Will it work? I don't know. I don't know. Will any head coach for the last 20 years were like, for various reasons, it sometimes does and sometimes doesn't. But I trust Matt Rule in the idea of, hey, I had to make a change because this is something that can help us, right? Not because, he's succumbing to the pressures of the job and the pitchforks came after him and he just felt like he had to do something to appease the masses. No, I think he listens and I think he's aware of the criticisms out there, but I think he looked at it and said, we could do this right now and we could get better.
And I'm sure, he's in practice every day. Like he should theoretically know that team inside and out. I think he would be able to tell if it's a player problem or a coaching problem.
Yeah.
Certainly before, I don't know how the conversation went, but it could have ended in Marcus Satterfield's dismissal. Like you don't just start that conversation if you don't know if it's a coaching problem or a player problem.
Well, I think Matt Rule is a pretty good communicator, right? Man, we just need more out of this. We're going to take another look with a different person. We're going to go in a different direction. All right, cool. Sounds good. I don't think it went exactly like that.
Will you pay me $1.4 million?
That's right.
To coach the tight ends.
Correct.
I won't take a penny less.
We will do that. And people will be angry about it. Brett.
Hi, Brett.
In Minnesota. Wonders, he says, I wonder how much of the heat and pressure Rule was feeling to make a move at OC was internal versus external. You have to think the players were frustrated too. I hope they're energized and excited about Dana, and hopefully that shows tomorrow. That's an interesting way to look at it too.
New lease on life sort of thing.
I don't think people were like going up to him and be like, hey, we got to make a change here. But at the same time, I bet it's pretty refreshing for them this week that they feel like, regardless of how it's gone in practice, this guy has a resume, he has a history, and you feel like you're in good hands when you go into a football game. This guy's going to put us in good positions. That's a great start. That's a great place to start from.
I like Andrew's comment here on the YouTube chat.
Andrew.
A school with the top 25 recruiting class every year should be a top 25 team.
Great point.
I'm sick of the talent discussion.
That's pretty simply put right there. All right, our keys to this football game, the 6th meeting all time, Nebraska and USC. We'll be back with those next on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
Sometimes you get bored of flipping through the sports channels and watching the mindless talk of off-season baseball or the chit-chat shows. And so you flip through the movie channels.
So the Cowboys tried Sadie Lamb. Yes or no? You tell me.
So for the last probably hour and a half or so, we've been watching episodes of Boy Meets World. Exactly. And then on Freeform, it changed over to the Fox and the Hound at 1 o'clock. So I was like, I'm not going to watch Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, it wasn't really doing it for us.
So our other options were Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
No, thank you.
Episodes of Seinfeld, Bluey, the end of Little Nicky, and then the beginning of Neighbors starts at 1:30.
Oh, okay.
Or Castaway. And
what'd we pick, Connor?
You can bet which one we ended up on. Hanks on a plane. He's about to get on that plane. Coming up here.
Don't do it, Tom.
Probably about 20,
Don't
25
do it,
minutes.
Man. Just let the packages be late. It's fine.
The rarely watched beginning of Castaway in studio right now. Wow. We're learning about Chuck Nolan and his affinity for time. He's big on time. That's why he gets that locket from what's her name? Jodie Foster?
Nope.
She looks like her.
Helen Hunt.
That's it. Jodie Foster, Helen Hunt, and then
both sort of have the same trademark scowl.
Jodie Foster, Helen Hunt, and then there's a third one. The woman in Sipple just mentioned Ozark. The woman in Ozark. What's her name? Laura Linney.
Yeah.
They're all the same to me.
All y'all look alike.
They do. They do. I've always said that. All right, keys to the game. Nebraska and USC. As we've mentioned, Josh, this week, this has been a difficult one to cap. There are some underlying factors in the game that we just don't know. We do not have even a baseline expectation of where either of these teams are going to be at from a energy perspective, from a mental perspective, what they're going to, the kind of juice that they're going to bring to the table on Saturday.
When was the last time it was this up in the air?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Because like I said, I always feel like once Nebraska has these messes of games, they usually bounce back from them pretty well. You think last year Michigan into Illinois, right? This year Indiana into Ohio State. They usually bounce back okay. But this week we had the bye mixed in with the coordinator change, mixed in with the questionable quarterback health. It's just been odd. USC, they have been going down a path, and they made a quarterback change. And so we're wondering about both teams from that perspective. So I'm operating off of the idea that we find some sort of happy medium somewhere, a reasonable expectation from either of these teams. We're trying to find the median, I guess, of that.
Or it could be a shaky game where it's like from one quarter to the next.
That's a great point. I would not be surprised to see like gigantic swings in this game.
Game of runs.
Just because we're dealing with all these emotional things. All right. Speaking of Hanks, key one. You've got a friend in me.
Toy Story.
And I just wanted to name one this because USC's running back is named Woody. His real name is Jaquavius. I don't know why they call him Woody.
That's right.
But Woody Marks is, I think, just watching it, he is as good of a running back as there is in the league. As talented as a running back as there is in the league. He kind of has that all-around nature to his game, right? He's shifty. He could show power. He's got he's got all the things that you would ask for in a complete running back. He's got it. And he has been incredibly efficient this year. Some of his effectiveness, I believe, comes from how sparsely they use him. Honestly, like it's the Kalkbrenner theory. He's so efficient, but is he so efficient because he gets less opportunity, right? How many 7-for-7s do we have in Ryan Kalkbrenner's game log? A lot.
I have the answer to why Jaquavius is named Woody.
Okay, go ahead.
He loved the movie as a child. His mom bought him a Woody costume.
Somebody poisoned the water hole.
That's right. With the hat, the vest, and the boots, and he wanted to wear it to school every day. So they just started calling him Woody.
I'm glad it actually has something to do with Toy Story. That's great. So USC, 27 run plays a game. That is 122nd in the country. But their efficiency numbers are really good. If you look at it from an efficiency perspective, it's a top 20 rushing offense in America. And if you look at it from a yards perspective, I mean, there's nothing about what Woody Marks has done this season that wouldn't lead you to believe that he's one of the best guys. He almost has 1,000 yards already, and once again, limited opportunities. 6.1 yards per carry so far this year. Over 157 carries. That's pretty dang good, Josh. Just my opinion. Quentin Joyner's back there as well. So this is about their run game. 27 run plays. It's 122nd in the country. So when they do go to him and try to crease things in the run game, and I'm telling you, you'll watch this game and you will be shocked at how little they do. Because he'll pop these. It's almost like Kyle Monungai's second quarter against Nebraska this year. Dude, that guy was gashing him in the first quarter. What are they doing? You'll be amazed. But they don't. Now, we'll talk about this in a key coming up. What will be Jaden Mayava's place and all that for them at quarterback? That's TBD, but he does bring something different to the table.
Okay.
So when they go to him, Marks, and try and crease things in the run game, don't let it take you by surprise. They have a really explosive run game, and they have not been that in the past game. So if they do turn around and try to run the football, or, run zones and whatever it might be, and try to run the football, don't let that beat you, because their passing game has been very inefficient so far this year. Good from a big numbers perspective, but inefficient. So Nebraska, basically the key is stop the run. Sorry. We took a roundabout way.
That's
to
okay.
That, but we did get there. For Nebraska on offense, be quick, but don't hurry. You ever heard that phrase, Josh? Be quick, but don't hurry?
Yeah, a lot.
Kind of in the name. Nebraska has, I think, walked themselves into a self-induced coma on offense recently. It's not about lack of production. People think, oh yeah, they have a bad offense and that's why it's a sleepy offense. Like, no, it's a sleepy offense because it chooses to be a sleepy offense. I'm describing Nebraska's offense as sleepy. You say, oh, that offense must be bad. And I'm not like, it doesn't have to be bad. That's what I'm telling you. Wake it up. Wake it up. I think it is bad because it's sleepy.
How do you
not sleepy because it's bad? Obviously, the two affect each other greatly. But do you understand what I'm saying there?
I do.
I think it's bad because in part because it's sleepy.
A lot of people, to wake themselves up when they're sleepy, drink a little bit of Red Bull.
Interesting. And he does factor into this. Mr. Red Bull does factor into the equation. It's about the way they move, right? And it might not even be most visible in between plays. Just the lack of urgency, the lack of fire that's underneath their butts. It's just not there. It takes them a long time to get stuff in, to huddle, to break it, to get set, and then ultimately to snap the ball. That's a long time for the defense to get set, for them to take a deep breath. It's not a lot of window dressing. That's what it has been.
Last 7 minutes of that UCLA game were frustrating.
Yeah.
Even though everyone watching knew how it was going to end.
As Nebraska's trying for 45 straight minutes to try and punch in a touchdown to get within, a one-score game.
11 and goal plays.
It's taken a really, really long time. And then your quarterback gets injured in that series as well. Get up to the ball, communicate, play with some urgency. I would love to see some isolated spurts of tempo in this game as well. I just think, Rule has talked about this idea that they don't need to manufacture Dylan Raiola into making it easy for him. We talked about this week and last. Like, I just think this thing needs jumper cables.
It doesn't have to be on Heisman level for him either. Like,
right,
you can help him.
It just needs a jump start.
Yeah.
Right. Once you jump start your car, it's good. It doesn't really work. It works after that. Right. You don't have to have the jumper cables attached. I can't talk. Sorry. All the time. You don't have to have the jumper cables attached all the time.
Couple dinks, couple dunks.
Right.
Build that confidence up.
So it's not only in what they produce, but it's also in how they approach it. And I think that's the bigger thing for me. It's not bad. It's not sleepy because it's bad. It's bad because it's sleepy. I just came up with that. I think I like that. That's key number 2. Be quick, but don't hurry.
That's a John Wooden phrase.
And key number 3, better than most. Better than most. What needs to be better than most on Saturday? Well, Nebraska is averaging 101.7 rush yards per game in conference this year. That would be good for 14th in the Big Ten Conference.
Oh, no.
Yeah. What's a good number for you? 130, 140? Game control is really important. For especially against a team that could strike you pretty quick. And there's the element of unknown with them on the offense. I just think Nebraska's got to jumpstart that thing too. This one, the run game would obviously be helped by the urgency that Nebraska should show on offense on Saturday. But this is the position, going back to the argument with Sipple, the running back is the position where I'm not sure that if you actually do have the answers there. So Nebraska might have to try to manufacture some things there. 125, 130, 140. We've significantly lowered the bar in the run game this year. And it's possible that Nebraska just badly misfired on how good or effective they thought their run game was going to be this year. But they need to get something more out of it. It doesn't need to be back to the original expectation, but back to a portion of what we thought is going to be.
6 conference games by my count so far this season. 3 times Nebraska's ran over 100 yards, 161 against Purdue, 121 against Ohio State, 113 last time out against UCLA.
Yeah. So
48 against Illinois.
Yeah. And they've had some low days, and then the 161 against Purdue. I mean, you don't play a Purdue the rest of the year.
That's right.
So it evens out, and I feel like if you're telling me Nebraska runs it for about 100 yards a game, I would say, oh, that feels about right, just based on what they've shown. All right, those are our keys to the game. Nebraska and USC tomorrow afternoon at 3. Big Red Overreaction coming to you afterwards, right here on 1620 The Zone, and not on 1019 The Keg.
That's right. There will be basketball on Keg.
You could listen to that too.
It's very good.
You could picture your radio.
Ooh.
Try that. I'd love to do that. We'll be back with the picks for the weekend and Josh's hype speech coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Tom Hanks just said goodbye to, what's her name?
Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt? Not Helen Hunt.
Laura Linney is who you think she is.
Not Laura Linney.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster. That's her, right? Or no, it was Helen Hunt.
It was Helen Hunt.
Oh, okay, yes. I thought you were messing with me.
No.
Just say goodbye. He said, I'll be right back. And then he gets on the plane on Christmas, and the plane is about to crash.
Classic Hanks.
Classic Hanks. All right, picks for the weekend. Josh, bad news from last week.
Oh, no.
We didn't have a Nebraska game to lose at, but we had many others. We both chose Georgia to beat Mississippi by 3 points or more.
Okay.
We both chose Indiana to cover 2 touchdowns and a hook against Michigan. We both chose Texas Tech to cover the points against Colorado. Both of us cited that they just always play in weird games, and boy, did they ever. But it wasn't a 1-point game like we thought it would be.
Yeah.
So we're both 0-3. I chose LSU to beat Alabama. You chose Alabama. Well done. And we both chose Penn State over Washington, and we both won. So, with a 1-4 record last week for me and a 2-3 record last week for you, we are yet again tied.
Oh, neck and neck.
For both first and last in the Connor Happer Show picks leaderboard.
Down the stretch.
We are both 32-32.
Oh, no. We're also 500.
We're also 500. So you can never convince us that we are either good or bad at this. We are exactly as mid as it gets. And that's a pretty large sample size. 64 games we've picked this year.
The Connor Happer Show, as mid as it gets.
As mid as it gets. Exactly. So I guess we could both go 3-3 again this week because we're back on the 6-game grind. We begin in Pittsburgh. Let's begin in Pittsburgh.
The Steelers?
Yeah, the Steelers. We're going to pick the Steelers game. No.
Steelers, Ravens.
Number 20, Clemson is an 11.5-point favorite at Pittsburgh. 11 a.m. on ESPN, as called by Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy.
Really? Wow.
Josh, you have come back to tie.
What a terrible
assignment. So you go first.
Pitt is no longer a pumpkin. They're a rotting jack-o'-lantern on the front stoop of your house.
Yep.
Give me Clemson here.
Agreed. Yeah. I felt like that should be more. Not that I love Clemson, but
but
they're better. Yeah. Number 23, Missouri is at number 21, South Carolina. Eli Drinkwitz says you need to include us in the college football playoff conversation. Vegas says, all right, maybe, but you're a 13.5-point underdog at South Carolina this week. A 2-touchdown underdog are the Tigers. 3:15 on the SEC network, as called by Tom Hart and Jordan Rogers.
I don't know either of those individuals.
Jordan Rogers, is that a Rogers? Is that a Rogers?
Oh, is that his brother that works at ESPN?
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, this guy's definitely related.
Wasn't he on The Bachelor or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or am I thinking of Jesse Palmer?
Also on The Bachelor.
Also a brother of someone. Okay. Give me South Carolina. People might look at this and say, what? Ranked on ranked? 13.5? Come on. Missouri keeps it close, right? Nope. South Carolina, after all the junk Missouri talked, give me the Gamecocks.
I don't know why I'm doing this.
Why? What? Don't pick Missouri.
But it's a big number between two teams that are close in ranking.
Exactly. That's the evidence I just used to pick against them.
I guess give me Mizzou here, and right. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, that one's gonna hurt on Sunday.
Might regret that one.
Number 1, Oregon is a 13.5-point favorite at Camp Randall. Will they be making remarks throughout the broadcast by Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge on NBC about the song "Jump Around" the entire game?
We know Wisconsin.
They love the song Jump Around. Oregon or Wisconsin, Josh.
Oh, this is pretty easy. Give me Oregon by multiple touchdowns.
I agree.
They are the better team.
I agree. Yeah.
They have not been scared of any of the venues they've gone to this year.
I could see them winning by 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns.
Nor has Wisconsin held serve at Camp Randall against playoff-eligible teams.
A large number of points.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon. So we're on different sides of the Missouri-South Carolina game, which is weird. Number 7, Tennessee is a underdog at number 12, Georgia by 9.5 points. 6:30 on ABC. Well, Josh, this is a weird game. This is a weird game. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, of course, on the call for ABC. I'm giving the edge to Georgia because they're at home, and that feels important to me. Tennessee has quarterback issues. They have a quarterback injury that is floating around at the moment. On the other side, their defense has been really good, and Carson Beck has been a poopy. Very poopy.
Like a blowout diaper poopy.
Why does Georgia choose to do the things it does? Maybe because it has the ability to make the college football playoff pretty much no matter what, and it decides that it can mess around all season. If you're giving them that benefit of the doubt, you'd say, oh, well, Georgia will just turn around, they'll run it over Tennessee, and the game will be over. I've changed my mind on this game. I'm going to take Tennessee to cover the 9.5.
That's a monster number for a game where just last week, Georgia played a good defense and struggled mightily. I understand Tennessee might not have Jackson Dart as their quarterback, but yeah, Vols plus 9.5.
Kansas at number 6, BYU, who was a 2.5-point favorite, 9:15 on ESPN. This will be the Mark Jones special this week because Colorado will be broadcast by Big Noon.
Seems like a really low number to me.
Many are saying that.
So I'm going to fall into the trap and say, give me BYU. Why is that number so low? Seems easy.
I actually think the number is appropriate.
Okay.
Kansas has been playing some better football lately.
They have been playing better.
BYU has this kind of team of destiny thing going to them right now. With that being said, I'll still take the BYU because I just trust them more because it's small enough. Mm-hmm. I do feel fortunate that the number is that small, but I feel like it's right. But I like BYU. I'm talking in circles now. We're kind of on the same side on these, Josh.
Good thing I took Missouri.
And we finish with the Nebraska Cornhuskers at the USC Trojans. The Trojans are 7.5-point favorites, 3:00 on Fox, as will be described by Jason Benetti and Brock Heward.
Hell yeah.
Josh.
Am I going first here?
Your pick.
All right, let's put up the fancy graphic that I moved. Okay, there it is. Here we go. The pick is in.
Coaches often talk in cliches, and here's a tip. They're liars. They don't want to go 1-0 each week. They want to win every game. 12-0, natties, titles. But this week is different. 3 straight losses. Embarrassing. Everybody talking.
What?
Gossiping.
What?
The chatter.
What?
Blathering on.
What?
Yakking.
What?
Chewing the fat on what the program should and shouldn't do. New OC. Dana. Holgo. Sadie's got himself a new daddy. But he ain't the savior. He's a cog in the wheel fueled by Red Bull. The old OC, Marcus Satterfield, chose to stay. Why?
I have no idea. He could have left.
Because the job ain't finished yet. There's still work to do. And we don't quit, we fight. And when you're in a foxhole with a group of guys and the bullets are flying, you don't get to just walk away when it ain't going your way. You got to work harder than the other guys. And here's the dirty little secret. Those other guys, they're reeling too. So knock them out. Kill their will and make them tap. Don't let your foot off the gas until the clock says 0. Magic number? How about 1? 1 more point than the other guy for 1 more win, for 1 extra game at the end of the year. The goal remains the same. 1-0, a 6th win, and a trip to the Grand China Buffet. Not the victory, but the action. Not the goal, but the game. In the deed, the glory. And there's glory waiting for you after 60 more minutes. Pack your fat pants. We're going to the Grand China Buffet and a bowl game for the 54th time. And we know now, more than ever, it will never get old. Tomorrow at the Colosseum, we're the Greeks, they're the Trojans. Catch them by surprise and steal a dub. Hollywood loves a reboot. Let's reboot the program. Nebraska 30, USC 21. Change the narrative. Finish the story.
How do you talk like that?
It's a lot of Red Bull.
What is that? What is that? What is that accent?
It's a wrestler accent. I can't explain it.
What is a wrestler's accent?
It's watching WWE since I was 5.
Now, okay. Are you going with wrestler version of yourself? Or do you really think that? Or are you making a pick?
What do you mean, do I really think that?
I don't know. Wrestling is fake.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This is new information.
So would you like me to put you down for Nebraska?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure. I want to give you an out there. I didn't know.
30-21.
The rest is going to win?
Yeah.
We're going to go to the Grand China Buffet.
Absolutely. Pack your fat pants.
Pack your fat pants. All right. Sounds good. Saddy's got a new daddy.
That's right.
I like that one. Nebraska's going to lose on Saturday.
What?
Yep. But according to the score that I've cooked up in my head, they'll cover. 28-21 USC. Nebraska remains winless against the Trojans.
That's
1 more week until the Grand China Buffet.
Connor, they're going to kick you out of Nebraska media.
I'm picking them to lose. I think they're going to lose the game. I can't lie to people. I can't lie to people. They're going to lose.
You think at Maestro's
I don't know. They might win. I've been wrong 700 times. They might win, but I
might as well be 701.
I think they're going to lose.
Because in Tinseltown, we reboot the program.
All right, that's cool. That's good. I hope they win. But I think they're going to lose. That's my official opinion. That's not Josh's. Definitely not Josh's.
Well, guess one of us will be right.
One of us will be right. We'll find out who on Saturday night. We'll be back after this with the polls. We'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. Stay tuned. The Burger Off is coming up in just a few minutes. We'll find out which burger is best and if Nick made it back from 120th and Center.
Seems like a lot of unnecessary driving.
It is.
He has a rubric.
He's got a really specific idea on how he wants this to go. All right, to the polls at Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Have you seen the splendor of IKEA? I actually haven't. I've seen an IKEA, but I've never been. I don't think I've ever been inside one. Maybe once. I'm going to say no.
I have, yes.
59% say yes. Does a single beer make you more likely to rationalize a purchase? Yes, of course it does.
Not a single beer, no.
Yes, any beer. 57% say yes.
Y'all are lightweights.
Were quotes more meaningful back then?
1,000% yes.
79% say yes. And finally, is flying into LAX a lot like flying into Grand Island?
I would say the exact same.
I'll have to take Sipple at his word for it. 55% say no, but it's early. Those are the polls. Josh, what are we watching?
All right, the burgers are getting cold. There's a lot to watch on TV tonight, so let me rattle through this real quick.
Shut up, Josh. Get out of the chat. No, other Josh. Other Josh. He's in the chat talking about, you're going to end your show. No, we're going to do the show even longer.
Oh, good. There's a lot to watch. Packers, Bears, noon Sunday on Big Fox. CBS has the doubleheader, and it is a banger. Ravens, Steelers at noon. Chiefs, Bills at 3. Oh, I'm not moving from my couch all day. Bengals, Chargers, your Sunday night game. College football tonight, Wyoming, Colorado State, 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. At that same time on ESPN2, North Texas at UTSA. Big Fox game of the night tonight, 8 o'clock, UCLA at Washington. And then Houston at Arizona, 9:15 start tonight.
Hell yeah.
On FS1 College Game Day in Athens tomorrow for Tennessee and UGA. Celebrity guest picker, WWE champion, and Georgia native, Cody Rhodes.
Oh, I've heard of that guy.
You tell him wrestling's fake.
Well, he would know.
He would know. Big noon kickoff in Boulder for Utah, Colorado. Men's basketball tonight on Peacock. Load up your devices, everybody.
Yep.
6 o'clock. Number 13 Purdue hosts number 2 Alabama. Connor had a good betting line.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that Bama was just a short favorite. You could bet it up as high as you'd like.
Buy it up special.
Yep.
Number 15 Marquette at Maryland tonight on FS1 at 7 o'clock. Number 21 Ohio State. I put OSU, and now I don't know if it's Ohio.
Texas A&M.
I don't know if it's Ohio, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it's Ohio State.
Okay, against number 23 Texas A&M, 8 o'clock on SEC Network. Kansas City is at number 14 Creighton tomorrow, 6 o'clock. You can watch it on FS2 or listen to it on 101.9 The Keg and only 101.9 The Keg.
We play everything.
That's including Creighton basketball.
Including sports.
That's right. Women's basketball, number 2 UConn at number 14 UNC tonight, 5 o'clock on ESPN2. Number 21 Nebraska at South Dakota.
Yeah, I believe that's in Sioux Falls.
That's
Oh no, it's actually it's actually at USD. Yeah.
Okay. Odd.
I think.
Yeah, no, that's what it says. I think that's an odd scheduling quirk. 5 o'clock Saturday.
Amy used to be the coach there.
Okay.
There you go.
Throwing him a bone.
Good program. Good program.
BTN for the moving pictures on that one. Volleyball, Seton Hall at Creighton tonight. Number 5 Creighton, that is, 6 o'clock on 1180. And then senior night for the Jays. They host Georgetown 1 o'clock Sunday also on 1180. Number 2 Nebraska looks to keep rolling as well. They're at Indiana tomorrow night, 7:30 on BTN. Connor, the NBA Cup is back again tonight. Doubleheader on ESPN, 6:30 start between the Lakers and the Spurs. Grizzlies Warriors at 9 o'clock for weirdo courts in the NBA. There is something akin to boxing on Netflix tonight, live from Jarrah World. They won't need the curtain for Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. The broadcast starts live at 7 o'clock. There's like 4 fights before Mike Tyson or something like that. I don't know.
Just Let me know when it starts.
Yeah, we'll all be talking about it. MMA is at Madison Square Garden tomorrow. UFC 309 World Heavyweight Championship. I know both of these fighters. I can't remember the last time UFC gave me that. John Bones Jones, who is still a free man, I guess, against I never know how to pronounce this guy's name. Stipe Miocic. Miocic? I don't know.
No idea.
9:00 on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Let's see. Twisters is on Peacock. You can watch that. There's a Dune television show that is nothing like Game of Thrones, premiering Sunday night on HBO. A lot to watch this weekend.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
Tom Hanks just broke open his first coconut.
Oh, no.
That's it for us today. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover Burger Time is next.